They hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. Yeah, they hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, yeah. I had to elevate. I'm way too fly, yeah, I'm feeling myself. Ain't no chance I'm coming down, no. Got a soul view to myself, yeah. Why would I give it up? Why do they wanna come take my place? I work too hard for it, don't need a replacement. This my vocation, now I got rollies all in rotation. Hop on the jet just to take a vacation. Remember the moments was trapped in the basement. Now the hard work is all taking me places. Squatting all black like we trapped in the matrix. Bet on myself and go ball out in Vegas. Living a life like I'm rich and I'm famous. Don't see the grind that I know that it came with. I ain't make it this far for myself, yeah. I had to prove to everybody else, I had to set them straight, yeah. I had to ball, so I had to renovate, I know. They hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. Yeah, they hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. Yeah. They hate when you elevate, yeah. Why they wanna bring me down? So much drip, yeah, I almost drowned in it. I can't come it down, yeah, I'm way too fired up. I can't slow it down. Oh, yeah, yeah. I see the flashing lights, make sure the fashion right, yeah. I'm in my bag tonight, yeah. Oh, I might just pull up a foreign. Watch out, the engine is roaring. It's too loud, you can ignore it. Yeah,
Mic check, mic check, mic check. Am I coming in clear?
Super clear. Super clear. I'm gonna ask you the same mic check favors.
Yeah, you sound good, bro. You doing your thing, man.
Mike, like right here, bro. I actually had to put it on my tripod because I had it in front of me, and I hated doing this all the time. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I'm talking and you see the top of my head. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I had to move it. You know what I mean? So I set it up so it gives me some justice here.
No doubt. Shout out to everybody in the chat. You know, we building up slowly. I know there's a bunch of lives popping right now, man. I've seen a couple of things on there. Shout out to ETB too. I see he doing his thing right now. He's cooking over there. Shout out to everybody in the building right now though who came over here, the home team. You know what I mean? Eastside Easy in the building.
Right in the building.
Shout out to AK Crowder in the building. Got to see AK Crowder today on the camera. Salute, brother. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for all the support, man. You've been there from day one, always holding it down, man. Really appreciate you. Shout out to my co-host Ray Davis in the building. You know what I'm saying? For sure. Let's see here.
You gotta ask
the money. J Cash, the money man. Mr. Big Play Bray. Salute. Let me hook you up with Mr. Big Play Bray. What up, fam?
I gotta ask Bray though. Bray, is that you that hit me up on IG? I'll ask him in the chat. I think it is. Yeah. I think Bray hit me up on IG, bro.
Yeah. We family now for sure, AK. That's for sure. That's it. Salute, Ray. How you doing? You know, we always gotta start this right. How you doing, family?
Man, absolutely. How's you? How's the family? How's your day going? You know what I mean? That's what it's all about.
Well, the day been going, man. The day been going. I was on there today with Blue for about 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? We was cooking, getting some perspective on this topic, man. It was me and Blue's first real opportunity to really build on the topic for real. I mean, we speak on the phone and stuff, but we kind of went in depth today. And I definitely have some different perspective on this whole Brian Norman and Boots Ennis situation. I still allow Brian Norman to own his part because I do think Senior had a large part to do with the just with the energy, right? But at the same time, empathizing a little bit more than I did maybe yesterday with Brian Norman's side of the conversation, right? Just empathizing just a little bit more. But always was there as far as how much sense it made what they did, as far as the way they moved. Some might say priced themselves out, but taking into consideration all of these other intangible parts to it that I don't think a lot of people really took into consideration. We're going to talk about that tonight. You know, you can see it made sense for Brian Norman's career for him to move the way he did. Also, you know what I'm saying? You know, he had the room to do it. And we'll talk about that as well.
Right.
This morning, we also had a big fight. I woke up just in time this morning. I thought I was gonna have to watch the replay. I woke up about like almost 7:30. When I woke up, you know, I'm like, all right, let me go ahead and wash my face, whatever have you. I thought I missed the fight because in my mind, I'm sitting here thinking like, salute Richard Sampson, salute King. I'm thinking in my mind, I'm going, damn, the fight started at 5:45. I must have missed it. I'm getting ready to hit the replay, right? I'm not leaving my bed. I'm like, I'm ready to hit ESPN, and I see it's still live. I was like, oh, that's right. The event started at 5:45. He's the last fight. So I got there right in time for the fight. Right when Inouye, the Monsta was getting ready to come out to the ring. Literally, the music popped off and he was walking to the ring. I'm like, perfect. Watched that fight this morning. Missed everything else though. Missed the whole damn undercard. You know what I'm saying? But and we'll talk about that as well, because I thought there was definitely an announcement made. Bob Arum invited Monsta Inouye to America next year, and it looks like Monsta Inouye was very, you know what I'm saying, was right on board with him. So it's going to be interesting to see when he comes here, what does he come here, you know what I mean, and do, because at 122, most of his fights, of all of his fights, really can be done over there in Japan, because there ain't no real Americans over there at 122. So, you know, the imagination could run wild as to what we could be expecting Monsta Inouye to do if he does come over here to perform in the States. Yeah, we're going to talk about all that, man, tonight. And we'll talk about whatever else comes to mind. And you know how it goes towards the end of the evening. We open the panel up and let everybody come up here and build and whoop-de-whoop-de-woo and all that great stuff. You know what I'm saying? But good to go, man. Been a long day. Let's wrap it up today with the show and what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Word. Absolutely. Let's do it.
Where do we start, man? Where do we start?
I mean, I guess we kick it off with last night's featured event. You know what I mean? Let's kick it off. Let's start with the undercard, I guess.
I mean, let's just start with the main event, because I didn't catch it on the undercard. So
okay.
You know what I mean? I'm being honest with you. I didn't watch the whole card. That'll probably be another night. You know what I mean? I don't know if you watched it, if you had an opportunity to watch it, but
I caught the fight right before, which was I think it was Taki and Higa or something like that.
Right.
That's what I caught.
Right. So Monsta Inouye this morning, let's say humble yourself, take a little less money, or whatever Charlo said. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But yeah, the Monster strikes again. Bob Arum announces at the end of it. Well, first of all, Monsta Inouye definitely took a tune-up fight this morning, right? That's what that was. We know that Doheny wasn't the cream of the crop. You know what I'm saying? We weren't worried about this fight going one way or the other. If anything, we was just more interested on how Monsta was going to end the fight. Was it going to be a hook? Was he going to knock him out? Was he going to kill him with a body shot? What was he going to do? Was he going to knock him out early? Was he going to knock him out late? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Monsta took his time this fight. I think I noticed that he was very defensive this fight. He was very reluctant to just let his hands go recklessly. He was real conscious to keep that right hand up, being that he got caught with Neary on the last fight with that left hook, and it sat him down in his pockets. So in this fight, he was way more conscious of that, right? He picked his shots, walked down a lot of feinting. Doheny was very reserved in the way because he kind of I think he expected the knockout. You know what I'm saying? So he was very reserved, feinting a lot. You know what I mean? Trying to attack the body, trying to move around, getting caught on the ropes a whole lot. Inouye was campaigning on his body. To be honest with you, he looked like he was taking his time. Anytime Doheny would shell up, which he did a lot. As soon as Inouye fainted, he shelled up pretty much. And Inouye was like, well, all right, I'm going to start taking off these baby back ribs. You know what I'm saying? Let's get at these ribs. You know what I'm saying? Let's pepper you up. And ultimately ended up being the demise of Doheny, right? Doheny ended up getting hit so many times in his body. The old man Doheny's back locked up on him. His leg locked up on him. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't take no more. And he ultimately had to step away and, wave the fight off. And, Monsta got to walk away with a win. I mean, I don't want to say it was lackluster. Salute Mazuma TV in the building, my brother. Mark? Yeah. Mark, I don't know if you plan on if you want to come up or not. Let me know. Just give me. I know your show comes on soon too, right? At some point, let me know though. But yeah, end up locking up. I thought the most eventful part of the evening for me was Bob Arum, right? Bob Arum stepping in the ring, officially inviting, no doubt, officially inviting Monsta Inoue to the States, and Monsta being on board. A lot of people have been talking about, including yourself, Ray, right? A lot of people have been talking about, man, we ain't trying to respect nothing until that man comes to the United States to showcase what he does. We don't know nothing about about that man. So it looks like that's going to be happening. I don't know who I would even imagine that he would debut here in Las Vegas. If Monsta Inoue is coming over here, there's going to be a lot of money involved in that. He makes so much money over in Japan. He ain't going to come over here and just get some regular little pay cut. They're going to have to pay him extra, probably a little bit more than he gets in Japan, being that he had his traveling expenses and him, leaving his home, leaving a space that he has no reason to leave. He could start his career and end his career in Japan and make all the money in the world. So if he's coming over here, they're going to have to pay him a lot of money. If they're paying him a lot of money, you would think they're going to try to put the biggest fight possible, right? They're going to try to put the biggest fight possible together here on the stateside, just assuming that it might be the only time he ever comes here, right? That he might not be coming over here over and over again. So we'll talk about that. Like, what do we think he's coming in? Let me let Mark in the building real quick. My guy, my brother Mark Mazuma in the building. What's good, family? What's good, family? Always a pleasure, my brother. Always a pleasure, my brother. How you doing, man? How you feeling?
Likewise, man. I'm chilling. I'm maintaining, man. I'm just, saying I was just chilling at the crib, man. I just put my son to sleep and all that. So,
okay.
Man, I'm listening to y'all. What y'all on, man? What we talking about?
Well, right now we on the Monsta Inoue topic this morning. You know what I'm saying? Now, damn well we're going to be talking about Boots, and we're going to be talking about Brian Norman this evening. We're going to get some real perspective on it. I'm co-hosting with Blue Blood now, during the daytime. And we had a real deep conversation today about this Brian Norman, Boots Ennis situation. And I thought it was real interesting because I think both parties involved in this can be scrutinized to a degree on how this was handled. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But right now, as far as Monsta Inoue is concerned, did you get a chance to see the fight this morning?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now it wasn't very eventful. It wasn't crazy. Monsta Inoue, delivered what he was going to do. And I think we know this was a tune-up cherry pick. It was a rest. I think Monsta Inoue earned the rest. You know what I mean? He was going to perform for his fans, but he's been pretty busy for the past 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So him getting a little tune-up fight, a little easy cherry pick, I wasn't feeling no kind of way about it. I thought it was more eventful with the Bob Arum announcement. Him stepping to him and asking him, and him saying that he would make a he was coming to America. You don't know about that. That's me expressing my age. And anyway,
I know what you're talking about. I ain't that young.
James Brown said, "Living in America, but it's okay."
Living in America, my bad. Yeah, my bad, bro. My bad. I messed it up a little bit, but I think that was the most eventful part. What'd you think of the fight, Mark?
I didn't think much of it. Well, first of all, Karma need a. I ain't even say nothing yet, and Karma already hating, man. She got.
She on your top, bro. She on your top, bro. Karma ain't wasting no time.
Word, yeah. She talking about I'm on here lying.
Some love.
Salute, Karma Serene.
She over here trying to start trouble. But no. All jokes aside, though, man. At the beginning, I guess you could say it was like semi-competitive. Donahue just trying to give NUA some, fits here and there. But at the end of the day, man, I could really sit here and give you guys like a detailed breakdown, but to just keep it short and sweet, man, it's levels to this. The cliche, you know how it go, and NUA started figuring them out. He started putting the punches together, man, and just like a lot of them dudes that go up against NUA, man, they feel the speed. I mean, they see the speed, they feel the power, and slowly but surely he breaks them down psychologically and physically. And with Donahue, I don't even think we could all we don't know exactly what that man was feeling at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? He might have genuinely had an injury. He might have hurt his back. He might have hurt something at the end of the day. But just based off of the body language, it's just my experience of boxing and stuff like that. it just looked like he was looking for a way out before, like, the shit really got bad, because it was starting to look like it was gonna get crucial in there. It looked like somebody was about to get zipped up in the plastic. So he was like, you know what, man, before we even get to this, let me find my way out. You know what I'm saying? I think he took the smart route, because I think it was slowly but surely gonna get more painful. I think it was gonna get more tragic for him. So I just think that he found a way out, in all honesty. You know what I mean? It is what it is, man. I didn't expect much out of him anyway. I'm not a fan of these type of fights, but considering, just like how Claymore said, considering the fact that he has been busy, this is a little bit more acceptable. I'm not really a fan of fighters doing this when they only fight once or twice a year, but considering the fact that NUA has been staying in the loop, within these last couple years, and just staying active and staying sharp and all that, I'll let this one slide. You know what I'm saying? But considering the fact that Bob Arum wants to bring him to America, that lets me know that it's gonna be something big. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a big event, and in all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Turki Al-Sheikh is involved with this situation, because with all of the money that NUA makes in Japan, for him to come to the US, it has to make sense from a financial standpoint. So with Bob Arum not probably being willing to give up those funds, that'll exceed the funds that he makes in Japan, I'm sure this will probably be a Riyadh season card that NUA will be a part of, and he'll be fighting somebody, meaningful. You know what I'm saying? Or at least just be a part of a big event in itself. You know what I mean? Because regardless of whether NUA fights like a top caliber guy or, just like a regular guy in the 122-pound division, Turki Al-Sheikh gonna cut that check. So, that's what I believe is gonna, unfold in that situation. So it's dope. You know what I mean? I didn't think too much of the performance, man. Was just NUA taking out the trash. You know what I'm saying? When you got the trash bag, you put the little knot on the motherfucker, you put the shit over your shoulder, you walk it downstairs, you bring it outside, and you leave it there for the trash man to come pick up. That's what
easy
NUA
money,
right?
Light trash too, not even heavy trash, light trash.
That was the bathroom trash can. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
little one. Yeah. Let me ask you a question too, Mark. I'm glad you're here. Do you feel like with NUA at the division, especially the divisions he came from, besides I guess underneath him will be Bam, but even him in this case, do you feel like they're going through the same thing like Clarissa went through with the as she's moving up in weight? Like there's just a lackluster of opponents there for them, so they're fighting whoever they can at these divisions, and they need to get to better divisions to get better competition? Or do you think that they're solidified?
I think that NUA is extremely talented. I think that he has abilities that guys in them lower weight classes don't seem to have. So I do think that there isn't much, like you said, besides Bam. But even then, I do think that Bam, he needs to stay in those smaller weight classes. I don't want to see the dude move up 2-3 weight divisions to go take on NUA. You know what I mean? We don't really want to see that. We seen Rigondeaux Loma. We seen how that end up. Like typically that's not a good move for fighters that's going up and fighting great, bigger guys. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really care to see that. But in all honesty, I think Clarissa Shields, I think that her circumstances are a lot more, unfortunate than NUA's.
There's nobody.
I think that if he were to go up to 126, there'll be some great opportunities for him to, fight. They're even trying to build up the Junto Nakatani fight. You know what I'm saying? It might be a big fight that could happen at the Tokyo Dome or whatever. So at least he has some guys that he can, potentially bring to the table and stuff. Clarissa don't got nobody. She had to move up to heavyweight. She over there looking all out of shape and shit. You know what I'm saying? She definitely
she tried to fight a damn man. She was trying to get a fight with you. Like she got so desperate, she was calling out the dudes.
She calling out men to fight. Like her situation totally different, unfortunately. But anyway, he got some opportunities. You know what I'm saying? He cleared out 122 within 2 fights. We gotta take this into consideration. Like he beat Cool Boy, then he got rid of the other dude. I forgot his name. I apologize.
Tapales.
Okay, cool. Tapales, yeah. So he became undisputed within 2 fights at 122. So he got right to it. Like he went right into the smoke, came out on top. So now it's like, what is there left for me to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I think at 126, I think there could be some guys up there that could give him some problems. You know what I mean? I think that NUA's worst. How can I say this? I think that like the thing that'll be the biggest threat to him is going up against bigger guys, because them guys in them smaller divisions can't fade him. So it's gonna have, I feel like the only way NUA could really face some adversity or possibly lose if he goes in there with a bigger, stronger guy that's able to, you know, weather the storm from NUA.
Right. Oh, yeah, that was my question. I was saying, because I know you spoke on it, just to be clear, just with the question, so we're not confused. I was saying what he's facing now in the lower divisions going up is good for him, as opposed to Clarissa Shields moving down would be good for her, but she can't move down. Obviously, he can move up. That's what I'm saying is they're going opposite directions, but the town poles seem to be the same as she's moving up, as he's moving away from. Is what I was saying. My bad. I wasn't super clear, but yeah, you said it. You said it.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, they got like the same. They got similar circumstances, but like opposite situations.
Yeah, that's
I see what you're saying.
I think, let me salute some of the people in the building. Shout out to my brother Blue Blood Sports in the building. Blue. Shout out to Karma Serene in the building.
Queen.
You know what I'm saying? Cheech in the building. Shout out to Dragonfly Jones. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody as y'all creeping in the building. Please remember to hit the like button as you guys walk into the building. So look, man, if he's coming over here to the States, I'm glad we can just segue into it. If he's coming over here into the States, I don't see a lot of 122 pounders that they're going to bring over here. Like you said, Nakatani looks like they're going to make that into the Tokyo Dome. I don't see why they would bring that fight over here into the States. You would think that he probably would be debuting at 126 over here a little bit, probably like looking for one of our 26 pounders that we have here. We got a decent little stable down there. But like Ray was saying a little bit earlier, if he does come over here, you got to think that he's going to be challenging for some sort of a title. He's not going to come down here just to take some contender. He's probably going to walk right into some sort of title contention over here and make it worth his while. It seems like he's into gathering those titles up. You know, I mean, he's into becoming a multiple division champion. I mean, he's a 2-weight class undisputed champion right now. And if he was at 126 for now, you would think it wouldn't be far-fetched that he make a run maybe for some sort of undisputed status or unified status, at least at 126. Any takers on the fights that you could imagine him doing? A big enough fight? Keep it in mind, of course, the money. Nick, I know, but I'm thinking Nick is like a Riyadh fight, but I like what you said about Turkey. You know, when you said that, it made me start thinking about Nick Ball. I'm like, yo, if Turkey's going to do another Riyadh season over here, yo, that would be crazy. Nick Ball against Monsta Inoue would be a great fight. It would be a dude that's not so big, right? Not so big, but still punches big, and an exciting fighter in Nick Ball. He's not going to sit there and be quiet and take anything laying down. And obviously, we know how Monster's going to do. So, were you serious about that? Like, you see Nick Ball being a fight, or you just like kind of just throwing it out there, fantasy wise?
I'm just thinking about it now, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised at all if that was a fight that was to be made in his debut at 126. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
But
he said WBA.
You think that'll be in the States, or his next fight will be at 122? Because I think he's moving up. I think he's done at 122.
Well, they say Bob Arum said that he's gonna fight his IBF mandatory Sam Goodman or whatever his name is in December, and then he coming back early 2025. So that's what Arum said. So he gonna fight again in December. He gonna knock out a mandatory, and then 2025. I don't know if he gonna stay at 122. Most likely, he probably go up to 26.
Right, which I would like to see, because I think there's a big party up there waiting for him. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I would like to see him come out, and I think the biggest fight I would want to see, and I know he just lost recently, but I think he's going to avenge his fight, is Roberto Ramirez. I think that's going to be a really good fight. That would be fireworks from start to finish. Somebody's definitely going to touch the canvas. You're going to see expert boxing, because both of these guys know how to throw their hands. They have great footwork. Defense is caliber. Very good on sidestepping and making adjustments in fights. That's going to be a firework banger right there. Them two.
Yeah, Robeisy would definitely be a great fight. I think Robeisy needs to chase some jewelry. So hopefully him and Espinosa get that rematch, and they can get to ironing out their differences. You know what I'm saying? That was one of the fights of the year last year. Was arguably fight of the year last night between him and Espinosa. So they're Robeisy's supposedly campaigning to get that rematch with him. So if Robeisy's able to get through Espinosa, then I think that's a very realistic fight. I think it's that's a huge fight. You know what I'm saying? Him and Robeisy Ramirez. I think Nick Ball is a legitimate guy. A lot of people are trying to see where they could fit Shushu into that conversation, but once again, being that that Inoue seems to be jewelry prone. He likes the jewelry. It's Shushu who's gonna have to put himself in position. Maybe if he can get a shot against a Ray Vargas or something like that, and maybe he can take a shot at getting that WBC title off of him or getting some sort of championship. He has to get something to get in the way of what Inoue's doing, right? But it looks like everybody at one point or another was trying to sell that Shushu Carrington fight against Monsta Inoue. They really were trying to sell that. So it's going to be interesting to see how Bob Arum coordinates this and puts this together. He does have the fighters at 126 in Top Rank. He's heavy in the 126 area. He's got a lot of fighters in that area. So I would anticipate seeing him at 126. Do you guys think there's any chance that it'll be a 122 over here? Does anybody like worthwhile at 122? That would be a good fight for Monsta Inoue here in the States that he can't do in Tokyo.
Pierce.
MJ.
Elijah Pierce.
Elijah's at 122 or 126? 122?
22. That's the only guy. Yeah, that's the only person I really see. I mean, who else?
They was talking about MJ. They bringing up MJ.
That's what they saying?
I had heard that. Yeah, I heard MJ.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, his next two fights
Tapala
will be locked
beat
in.
MJ, right? Tapala has beat MJ.
Yes, and he already spanked Tapala's.
Triangle theory.
Yeah, I don't think it would be. I ain't gonna lie. I don't think it's gonna be MJ. I ain't gonna hold you. I think it's gonna be if it's at 122. I mean, and Elijah, I don't even see it being Elijah. I think it's gonna be 126. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So that being said, getting into as we move along, we can get into the biggest topic that's going on in boxing right now. We talked about it a little bit last night. Like I said, gaining some perspective with my brother Blue. We were talking a little bit earlier today, and I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm interested in obviously in what Mark thinks about it. A Philly native has his own relationship with the Philly boxing scene and knows Boots, and you know what's kind of going on over there. And I'm sure you have an opinion on how that thing panned out. Probably a microscope on Brian Norman a little bit, being that he did price himself. It seems like when it came down to it, it did look like he was kind of like not interested in the fight as much as he sold himself to be interested in the fight. But we could talk about that. And I'm saying, first of all, we understand that Eddie Hearn, you know what I'm saying, he's got a microscope on him right now, right? Eddie Hearn's got a microscope on him right now. They're looking at the way he's handling this Jerome Boots situation, and they're really not happy. The space is not happy with him. They feel like he didn't put his best foot forward in trying to make this fight happen. They feel like this is premeditated, that he never wanted to make the fight happen, that he from the jump wanted to push Boots into 154. I don't think that's far-fetched. I have my opinions on it as far as how knowledgeable the Ennis team was in this situation. You got to think to yourself, if Eddie Hearns is getting into a negotiation with a Jerome Boots Ennis and saying, listen, I'm going to manage you, and you know that you're coming into a situation where Jerome Boots Ennis has pretty much been getting frozen out of the 147-pound division when it comes to these high-level title unification, getting a title shot. The man couldn't, he had a mandatory that he was trying to activate on IBF forever, got caught up in that soap opera love triangle going on between Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, and sitting there getting passed around like a cheap date, right? Getting passed around, from Errol to Terrence as a mandatory, and then ultimately Terrence obviously not interested in the fight. Getting a Jerome Boots Ennis, you got to know that's going to be an uphill battle to get him what he wants at 147. And we know how hyper-focused his family is, his father specifically is, on Jerome Ennis becoming undisputed at 147. But at the same time, taking into consideration that you're going to have to pay out a lot of money to get these fights set up. Nobody's trying to jump in the ring with Jerome Boots Ennis. You know it's going to be an expensive task. Dare I say, not profitable task, right? Putting so much money in on Jerome Boots Ennis that the profit margin is probably going to be very low, right? Because you're going to have to get the fighters a lot of money. You got to pay Jerome Boots Ennis top tier money. What do you think about Eddie Hearn's role in this situation? Do you feel like he did the best he could? Do you feel like, he's underserving Jerome Boots Ennis at this point? How do you feel about Eddie Hearn's relationship with this whole situation?
You asking me?
Yeah, anybody. We're really you. Yeah, Marcus. We talked about it yesterday a little bit, but what do you think?
I wanna hear Ray's perspective. Yeah.
Right.
So my mic here now. My bad. I ain't gotta lean up. So I think Eddie Hearn's decision was he knew this was a case by case situation, and he knew that it'd be a situation where Boots might run into this issue. I think when I heard him say in the press conference, I think you guys alluded to something else in the press conference later when they were on stage, but when he had Turkey Al-Sheikh on the phone in those situations, when he said, "Hey, look, he wants to unify. After we unify, we can move him into 154, maybe get him some fights there." That right there said to me that he wanted to make that move. Like he knew that going undisputed was too much, and I think Boots agreed at that point that would be the best case scenario before he was still stuck on. I'm sorry, 147. I
think your mic is messing up. Your mic is messing up
Hello?
bad.
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now, but it was breaking up bad.
Oh, my bad. So I think because I was moving my hand probably. So Eddie Hearn's situation is I think what he's as far as him handling the fight right, I think he did handle it as best he could. I do believe that he lost out in the long run because he should have just flipped that little bit of money because he's it's such a little cost for such a big situation. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it would have been equal 50-50, whatever the case may be. But he ended up hurting his own situation because now they done lost a bid, things of that nature. You know what I mean? Everything seems to be falling apart in his world where now he's not even in control anymore. You know what I mean? He had control. And the point is, okay, you flip a nickel out there, you gain control, you still have the whole situation going for you, and you're not sitting there fighting the Karen Kukajagan. Now you're in a situation where you're going to be fighting Karen Kukajagan. If you don't take the fight, you got to drop the belt. There's so much going on with the with Eddie Hearn. I think he just doesn't know. I think he just got overwhelmed with the situation with Brian Norman. But that's pretty much what I got. I think the situation hurt him more than helped him. I think he hurt himself a little bit.
What do you think?
Okay. Well, look, I see both sides of the coin. You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm from Philadelphia doesn't necessarily mean that, I'm going to just say, oh, it's Boots all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? Or like, I'm not going to sit here and just act like Boots is 100% in the right or Eddie Hearn is 100% in the right. But I can't help but just side with Boots and Eddie Hearn in this situation, man. Like, even if Boots wasn't even from Philadelphia, the man could have been from Iowa. The man could have been from Alaska. He could have been from anywhere on this planet. And with this situation, I would be understanding of Eddie Hearn and his situation. Look, man, do promoters lose money on fights? That happens. But is that what they intend to do all the time? Absolutely not. They are not in the business to lose money. You see what I'm saying? So when I look over this situation, man, look, and a lot of people, and I seen Brian Norman's manager was trying to disregard it and all this situation, but you cannot escape reality. And your last fight, according to the California State Athletic Commission, you made $100,000 to face Santillan, correct? So it's safe to say with taxes and all that good stuff, he walked away with 5 figures. All right, cool. So that lets you know off of the rip that, he's not that big of an attraction. You know what I'm saying? So, it wasn't like he fought for the the WBO? It wasn't like he fought for the full-fledged title. He fought for the interim title and then was slowly upgraded to the champion after Terrence Crawford was done with the division, right? So He hasn't even defended his title yet, and they say that you're not a champion until you defend your title, right? All right, cool. So they acted like, Jerron Ennis, he's looking for the biggest fights possible. He told you he wants to become undisputed. He didn't only send the offer to Brian Norman. He sent them out to each and every champion in the division besides himself. He sent one to Sanionis. He sent one to Mario Barrios. He sent one to Norman. Both of those guys done went quiet. You know what I'm saying? They're not really speaking too much on it. But Brian Norman and them, they was going to stay quiet as well. It was only until Jerron Ennis had put out the interview with YSM that Brian Norman's dad jumped out and was like, oh, you crazy. Like, we ain't ducking no fights and blah, blah, blah. But this is the reality of the situation. According to Brian Norman Sr., they said the first offer was like $750,000, right? Cool.
Right.
So then they came back with a counter offer. So then they said that it was a little less than, according to Brian Norman Sr., it was a little less than half of what Boots made in his last fight. So a little less than 50%. They said Boots made about $3.3 million against David Evanesian, right? So you do the math, you know, it was one, you know, around the ballpark of $1.4, $1.5 million. So then he said after the last offer that they had put out there was exactly half. So when you do the numbers, it was like $1.657 million.
Right.
We got to take into consideration that, and you know, I heard Floyd Mayweather say this in an interview with Brian Kenny on ESPN when he was talking about making that Carlos Baldomir fight happen. And he said the reason why that fight didn't happen the first time they tried to negotiate that fight was because he said Carlos Baldomir never made. He said, how can you ask for millions when you never made $1 million? That shit, like, that's impossible. And he was speaking on that from a business perspective. And whenever I think about this situation, I come back to that Floyd Mayweather quote. And it's like, bro, Brian Norman, you made $100,000 in your last fight, right? This man is giving you the opportunity to make 17 times more than what you made in your last bout. And you're trying to make it seem like y'all are above it. And what makes me feel like they was just doing it for the publicity, in all honesty, was the fact that, you know, they were going between both lines where it was like, oh, it's about them. Oh, we need to be compensated. Oh, we need to be compensated. Like, they made it seem like it was a money thing. But then when Zab Judah asked them, yo, would you take the same amount of money in a different venue? They said yes. So is it a money issue? Is it a location issue? Is it both? You know what I'm saying? They said, oh, let's make it happen in Vegas. Bro, you cannot dictate these terms because you are not the guy who's generating the majority of the revenue. Jaron Ennis sold 14,000 tickets in his arena debut in Philadelphia. You feel what I'm saying? And it's safe to say that in his next bout, he probably do 16 to 17,000 now that the people are more in tune with his fights. And they seen that he had an exciting performance in his last bout. They're going to want to come out and see him again. There's going to be more buzz around it. Word of mouth is going, you know, that is really going to play a part. And he's going to sell even more. Why would they take that risk of putting the fight in Vegas when it's not guaranteed that he's going to sit the same amount of asses in the seats that he would in Philadelphia? Why would they take that risk? It's just more, you know, it's just more guaranteed if he were to make that fight happen in Philadelphia. So you guys are trying to say that you're not getting compensated enough. And then on top of that, y'all saying that it needs to be in a different location when Boots has shown to generate a lot of revenue in this particular location. That's like, let's say, for example, MJ, right? We were just talking about MJ and NUA, right? NUA is selling out the Tokyo Dome every time he go over there. It's guaranteed that every time he step in that building, that shit is going to generate crazy numbers. And MJ come to the table. He's not that big of a star. He's nowhere near in the same stratosphere as NUA in terms of star power. And he's over here trying to tell NUA, oh, you're not paying me enough. You want me to go to Tokyo, you got to pay me this, this, and that. Meanwhile, NUA and his team is giving him a substantial amount of money that he's never seen in his career. Meanwhile, as soon as, you know, and they're trying to make the fight happen, all of a sudden MJ comes out and is like, oh, why don't we make this fight happen in the Philippines? And it's like, why the fuck would we make this fight happen in the Philippines if Tokyo is a place where, you know, the money crazy over there? Why would we lose it? Why would we take that gamble of fighting the Philippines if in Tokyo we get into the bag? That shit don't even make any sense. So it just seems like, in all honesty, man, they were just putting roadblock in front of Jaron Ennis and Matchroom and them. Eddie Hearn tried to the best of his ability, but at the end of the day, he's not in the game to lose money. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I feel like Eddie Hearn saw the BS coming. You know what I mean? It was like, if it's not one thing, it's another. Because I guarantee you, if they would have probably gave him a little bit more bread, you know what I'm saying, then he would have been complaining about the location. So it's like they would have just continued to make things. And what makes it, and what the icing on the cake for me was, you know, as soon as, you know, the negotiations started to go bad, all of a sudden Brian Norman has an opponent. All of a sudden he's already on the undercard for Keyshawn Davis. If y'all all in on these Jaron Ennis negotiations, how y'all claim to be, how the fuck y'all already got an opponent and y'all already put on a card within not even 24 hours of y'all negotiating with Eddie Hearn? It seems like y'all already had that shit in the tuck. Y'all see y'all name is getting all this traction. Y'all getting all this, you know, you getting all these videos put up about you. Your name's starting to get up there. You starting to become relevant in the boxing world. All these people talking about you. You living in the moment right now. You enjoying the publicity that y'all getting. So it's like, bro, come on, man. It's like, all right, we gonna do this. We gonna act like we entertaining Jerron, and this whole time we got an opponent. And instead of fighting for 1.7 million, where they said they'll walk away with 810,000 at the end of the day, they're gonna fight for 250,000 against Darius Cuevas on Keyshawn Davis's undercard, bro. Y'all are a world champion, and y'all gonna be on the undercard of a contender. Come on, dog. This shit don't even make sense, and they know that shit don't make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes it. Yeah.
I think that Eddie Hearn. I think there was an opportunity for Eddie Hearn to make this fight happen, right? Just off the strength of giving Boots an opportunity to become a unified champion. When you take into consideration that the whole entire division, and specifically forget the division, let's just talk about Mario Barrios and Stanionis, who have pretty much rejected any offers, knowing that Brian Norman's team was the only one that actually responded with any type of positive something positive as far as a fight being made. $300,000 does seem like it would have been not unreasonable for him to come up with. But at the same time, I'm not going to put the blame on Eddie Hearn, because just like you said, although he could probably put up the money, making a profit is important, right? This is prize fighting. Making money, you could lose money every now and then depending on what the bigger picture is looking like. But when you think about the fact that he was going to be looking forward to doing this with Stanionis, then he was going to have to do it with Mario Barrios. The price is probably going up and up and up. There's no profit there. He has no help in that division. Turkey Al-Sheikh is not involved in this 147-pound part of Boots Ennis's career right now. He's waiting on Boots Ennis to do whatever he has to do at that division so that he can come up to 154, to where Turkey wants to get involved. As far as Boots is concerned, they tried to make the fight, but at the same time, it does look like there was a plan of, all right, if 147 isn't going to work with us, this is what we're going to do. And it looked like it hit that point for the whole team, that he was probably advised by Eddie Hearn, listen, man, this is something that we're going to open up a Pandora's box. If we give into this negotiation and give this guy this money, then what's going to end up happening? We're going to end up opening up a whole entire heap of problems coming from the PBC side with the fighters over there for how much money we're going to have to ultimately pay, especially to get these fighters to come and fight you in Philadelphia. It's going to be damn near impossible. The opportunities at 154 are great with Turkey Al-Sheikh there, right? Now, they're not great because we're going to talk about this part of the conversation as far as there's a lot of PBC fighters at 154, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later about what his outlook on 154 is going to be. It looks like he's getting set up to go through the same damn thing at 154 that he went through at 147. So there are parts of me that feel like, you know what, you guys should at least put the money up and made the fight happen with Brian Norman, so you could at least be a unified champion at 147 and try to leverage the weight of those championship belts to put you in the best position possible at 154. Brian Norman, at 23 years old, and I don't know if you spoke on this a little bit earlier, Mark, but I think it was more so Brian Norman Sr.'s social media campaign that really just made this like bad medicine, right? You talk so much mess about what you could do to Boots, that he's pillow fisted, that that he's never fought nobody, that he's never been in the ring with anybody. It just seemed like you gaslit. It seemed like he kind of gaslit the whole entire boxing space and had us like, damn, this fight about to really happen. Like this dude, and then to see him just kind of fade away the way he did, over $300,000, it did put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. You know what I'm saying? And including mine. Like I was like, damn, bro, that was just like a big letdown. It was like a big tease and a letdown that you would let this opportunity go away like that. I would think, I'm from the outside looking in. I don't want to count nobody's pockets, but I think 1.75 million was it was close enough to the 2 million to potentially put a huge fight like the one that would have been between him and Brian Norman in Philadelphia. You already see the amount of attention and how he packed out Wells Fargo when he fought a David Avanesian. We can only imagine what would have happened if he would have been able to bring Brian Norman to Philadelphia. But I would say this: I understand where the Normans are coming from. He's 23 years old. He has his whole career ahead of him. Boots is the one with the pressure. Boots is the one with the lack of options. He doesn't have that many options at 147. He's been rejected by Stanionis. He's been rejected by Mario Barrios. He doesn't really want to just be fighting up there. He wants to be unified. So taking that into consideration, it's not far-fetched that the Normans would take advantage of their position, being that maybe you might think I'm not worth whatever money that I'm asking for, but how much is this title worth that you want to get? Because if you scrape away all the mess and you move Brian Norman out of the conversation, you take his name out of the conversation, the real goal and what's worth the money is that WBO title, that unification fight to make him a unified champion. Maybe even get him in the direction of heading towards undisputed if they can negotiate something with the other two champions in the division. So it was on Boots. The pressure was on Boots to make this happen because this was his situation. Brian Norman has his whole future ahead of him. I bet you he stays at 147 for at least the next 2 years. So he's going to have an opportunity to unify. This is his chance to get his stock up, to get his market value up, to get some good fights as a champion, knock out a couple of guys, getting some exciting fights, build himself up so that when it comes time to unify, and also keep in mind that Boots Ennis' team, Bozy and Brian Norman Sr., seem to have spoken before this whole fight thing came up about when they wanted to fight each other, that they actually wanted to make it an undisputed fight, right? They wanted Brian Norman to go out there and go get a title, and then Boots would go out there and get a title, and then they would fight for an undisputed title. So they kind of had a game plan of how they thought this was gonna work out. The gun kind of got jumped, being that, like you said, Mark, Eddie Hearn sent out offers to all the champions, you know what I'm saying? And Brian Norman just kind of responded to that like, damn, this came out of nowhere. I didn't expect that to come, because Brian Norman talking to Bozy, and Bozy not even realizing that Eddie Hearn sent an offer to him, right? Not realizing that Eddie Hearn sent an offer to everybody. So when he called him, he's like, damn, he's saying, no, we're supposed to be doing undisputed. We're supposed to be fighting. Yeah, well, I just got an offer from your team, and I sent the counter offer back, and I haven't heard nothing back. It's an interesting situation, and social media has a way of playing mind games with you, being that we get exposed to so much more stuff than we were ever exposed to back in the day when, you'd read it in a newspaper or read it in a magazine or in some sort of article. We're just right there for it, and then we get the letdown because the deal doesn't go through. I think both sides, Mark must got disconnected. I think both sides hold weight in the way this situation turned out. I think both sides hold weight in it. But ultimately, I do believe the person who took the biggest loss in this situation is definitely Jerron Boots Ennis. He's the one who really sitting on the side of like where you're asking questions about what's next for Jerron Boots Ennis at this point, because now he's left with Karen Kukudashian, right? That's what he's left with. They didn't win the purse bid. That means Eddie Hearn didn't even put any effort into winning that purse bid, because they're not interested in that fight. They know there's no money to be made in that fight. We've already seen that fight once before and know where that fight's probably heading, whether it's Karen getting stopped or him running around the ring and having Boots chasing him around trying to cut the ring off on him. They're not interested in that. But the purse bid has been won by Kukudashian's team. And what are they going to make the fight? They're going to want the fight to happen probably in Germany, right? They're not going to want the fight to happen here in America, right? And if they don't fight him, he's going to have to vacate the belt and potentially lose the IBF title. So if he's going to lose that IBF title, then you have to assume that they're legitimately entertaining going up to 154, right? He's not going to sit there at 147 and give up his IBF belt and stay there. So he's either going to go ahead and put the effort forward, defend it against Karen, or he's going to vacate the belt and he's going to head over to 154, which 154 is stacked to the ceiling with PBC fighters as far as the power plays in that division is concerned. Another uphill battle. Now, granted, at 154, this is where Turki Al-Sheikh becomes part of the conversation now, right? So Turki now is going to take over as a person funding and putting these fights together for Boots Ennis. We've seen PBC on a Riyadh card already that they had in Los Angeles, and we know that Turki Al-Sheikh's been having communication with the PBC leadership, right? Whether it's Al Heyman, whether it's Lou DeCubis or anybody else over there, they're having an open line of communication over there, and you see the PBC has been willing to go ahead and cross promote with Riyadh season, not with Matchroom, but with Riyadh season. So there's some fights that could be made there. I don't know. Like I said to Blue earlier, I would like to believe that if Eddie Hearn, who I would give him the accolades of being an intelligent businessman, you would think before he would advise Jerron Boots Ennis to turn down any offers, that he has a road to success, that he sat down and spoken to the Ennises about, that where he has some confirmation from either Turkey or whatever have you about how we're going to move forward and how it's okay to let go of these opportunities. But I don't see it from the outside looking in. I can't lie to you. It's just like, how are they going to put this together? You know what I mean? I mean, what do you think, Ray? What do you think about like the future? Does he defend the title? Is it smart for him to just go ahead and defend his IBF title, go ahead and deal with that mandatory, or is it not even worth his time at this point on the outlook of 147, looking like he's going to have a hard time unifying in that division? Should he just let go at this point, move forward with a 154, with plans to go to 154?
So here's what I see. Even though the purse bid is what it is, and Karen actually won it, I still think that there's some play that can be happening here. Even though it's a purse bid, they can still make some actions happen where they can still bring the fight to Philadelphia based on what's been happening, and they know the situation that took place. If not, and it does happen to go to Europe or anything else, that's fine too. Let's let him go out there. He needs to take the fight, or he can do this thing, which I think is a big key, and I don't think anybody ever talked about it. He's IBF champion. Even if he vacates right now and he goes and talks to the IBF and says, look, there's a 1 spot and a 2 spot open up there. Why don't you facilitate me to one of those spots? Let me fight Erickson Lubin, Josh Kelly, Xander Zayas, Hazel Ramos, Kellen Wash, whoever you want to put there to let me solidify that spot to get the winner of Madrilev and Tim Tszyu. That could put him in a great spot to get another championship shot very quickly, and then it allows him to solidify himself at 154 and make head case there for the other fighters there if he chooses to do so, which he will get the fights. The champions there probably are not going to run or avoid him. He'll have more opportunity. These things come to play, and I think Eddie's foreseen this, and I think Turkey showed interest of him moving to 154 because he was trying to make a few fights with him at 154. He's already been called out by a lot of fighters there. It does make all the sense in the world. The problem is he needs the leverage. The leverage is talk to the IBF about dropping your belt and moving up into one of those spots and getting or fighting for one of those spots, which is 1 and 2, which is vacant at the time, to move forward, or you have the option of just finishing your fight with Karen, wash this guy, still use that leverage to move up and take one of those spots. So it gives him, either way, it gives him leverage to do whatever moves he wants to make. I think 147 is done. It's been proven. I said this, I believe in January of earlier this year, that he needs to go to 54 after I seen his last performance last year. And I just think it's time for him to move up. I think it's time for him to let the ship sail and move on from it. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get these chances. The money's going to have to make sense, and it's not making sense because you're too high of a risk at that division. So I think it's best for him to take that leave of absence and move to 154. Forget about 47 for now.
Yeah, no doubt. Let me shout out a couple of people in the building. First of all, shout out to Andrew Charles. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for putting some color in the chat. He says, I'm not mad at anybody who's got in the way pound for pound #1. Salute Clay and Ray. Salute to you, Andrew Charles. Thank you for donating to the channel. We really appreciate that. And yeah, man, anybody who would feel like anyways pound for pound, I wouldn't argue with him. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't argue with him on it too much. You know what I mean? I'm still a Terrence Crawford fan. He's still definitely up there for me, but he hasn't been as active as he should be. And his last fight wasn't his best version of himself. And anyway, just been so active. He's still an undisputed champion, defending his titles. Like he just defended his title this morning, just operating as a champion should operate. So I wouldn't be mad at anybody who put him as pound for pound. But yeah, let me see. Shout out to 2 Cents Boxing in the building. Salute 2 Cents. How you? Shout out to QT in the building. Hey, Blaze, pound for pound. I saw you in the background a little earlier. You see, we was building with Mark a little bit. I was gonna take a moment to let you know that I saw you and I was gonna pull you up, but I just wanted to let Mark finish building a little bit. So I don't know if you're still in the building or not, but I did see you, brother. Yeah, let's see here. We got a lot of stuff that was going on here in the chat, and I kind of wanted to see if there's anything that we'd be interested in addressing. Let me see here. Teach said, B Norm's team never started out saying they wanted $2 million because they kept saying they sent the counter offer multiple times. Yeah, Teach, you're right. From what I understand, the first actual offer was $2.8 million. That's where they started at. So it went from a $750,000 offer from Eddie Hearn, and the counter offer that was returned was $2.8 million from the Norman team. Now, I think that's pretty much what shut off the communication in the beginning when Eddie decided to go back and explain to Boots, like, yeah, they don't want the fight. You know what I'm saying? I think it was at 2.8 that was just like, that's ridiculous. You went up like three times over. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm not giving you that. But you know, opened the line of communication back up for the negotiation when Norman Sr. came out on social media and kind of like put everything on blast about what was going on. Right. Let's see here. 2 Cents said it's a duck issue. They just kept moving the goalposts. Genius marketing from the Norman Sr. Clout marketing. I don't think it was necessarily that, man. I think it's more so what we said a little bit earlier. You got to look at the scenario for what it is. Brian Norman is 23 years old. Junior is 23 years old. He has a WBO title, and you got to think about the conditions that he got the title in, right? The conditions was he was fighting a Santillan fight that he was an underdog in that nobody expected him to win, right? He was kind of almost set up as a stepping stone for Santillan and was able to dominate and win that fight. So he got he got blessed with an opportunity to be who he is right now. So they're going to protect that a little bit more. And he's still young. Outside of him getting that championship belt, which probably nobody foresaw that was going to happen, he was still like just leaving, almost like leaving a prospect status into a contender status, and came off of 3 lackluster performances. The last one before that fight being a no contest where he got put on his pockets. And a lot of people were saying that he was on his way to losing that fight. So he's on this resurgence, just got this belt, and it was an interim championship belt that got elevated to an actual full championship when Terrence Crawford vacated the belt. He didn't get an opportunity to defend the belt. And he was also entertaining a lot of opportunities with like a Teofimo Lopez and conversations of that nature. So he's just now getting in a position. And like you guys said, making $100 and something thousand. He had a game plan on building himself a little bit more, getting into some title unification fights. And you have to bet money on it that he didn't plan on Boots Ennis being his first unification fight. He's the hardest fighter in that division. So for Brian, it's like, all right, you're reaching out to me. You want to do this unification fight. We've already spoken to the team, and you guys said we were going to do Undisputed. Now, clearly there was a miscommunication between Eddie Hearn and Bozy. So Eddie Hearn sent an offer across the board to all of the champions. But still, no pressure on Brian Norman to actually make a decision as to making this fight happen. But I think, like I heard ETB saying earlier, and I was saying the same thing as far as that social media, the way Brian Norman Sr. Responded to the situation and saying that he wanted to have, let me see, Frequency Cash App is where it's at, Clay. Check it. Oh, okay. No doubt. Let me go ahead and check out my Cash App here. Let's see here. Salute. Oh, freaking fly in the building. I appreciate you, man. Shout out for the $5 holla. You know what I'm saying? Right here. Well, I don't know if you can see it, man. Salute frequent, man. I appreciate the support, brother. Thank you, man. As I was saying, from their perspective, there was no real pressure to make the fight. I do think that Brian Norman Sr. kind of just put, and I think he has to take ownership of this. I'm sure he does. You kind of amp this up. You amp this situation up and kind of got it to where it's at, to where people are looking at you by the way you were talking recklessly about Bozy and Boots. But, I digress to say, look, you're selling a fight. Shit talking happens. It's part of the game, right? But ultimately, just staying on topic with 2 Cents as far as the ducking is concerned, they had to weigh it out. And like I said, entertaining everything that was involved in it. We have to look at all these moving parts from a negotiation standpoint. It's either me or Karen. I know you don't want to fight Karen. I know that the other 2 champions have rejected your offers. I know you don't have a lot of options, and you want me to come fight you in Philly. It's already hard enough to fight you because you're who you are, but now I got to come fight you in Philadelphia as well. Make it worth my while. You know what I mean? I'm going to put a price on it that's going to make it worth my while, because the reality is I don't need to take this fight right now. This is a fight. I know also that you're at 147 for a long time. You're a big dude at 147. I know you're cutting all that weight to stay in this division and become undisputed. I know how much you value this opportunity. Me, I have no pressure on me. I can wait another year, 2 years before we have these conversations about getting into these fights. I'm a growing, I don't want to say a growing boy, right? But at 23 years old, he's probably going to get stronger, better, have more experience. He's only going to get better with time. He's at that right time in his life to where he can kind of take the time to make these type of decisions. The boxing space is going to be unforgiving, period. We're going to look at it and be like, listen, hell nah, duck, you're ruining it, especially once we get our feelings involved and wanting to see the fight, especially once we start wanting to see that fight, we don't want to hear anything that sounds near that, anything that sounds anywhere close to this fight not happening. So we're going to be unforgiving. We as boxing fans, we don't play when it comes to these conversations. But Brian Norman Sr. legitimately has an argument to say that, listen, man, my son don't need to be doing this. My son don't need to be doing this. And if he's going to be doing it, I have no problem, no shame in my game for speaking for him and saying he needs to be walking away with $1 million when this is all said and done. His tax bracket needs to change at the end of this. It's on Boots. I'm sorry, guys. It's on Boots to put value on that WBO title and to decide for himself between him and his team and Eddie Hearn, how much is this opportunity worth to him? Is he willing to let it go, or does he need to get this unification fight? And I think hindsight at this point says Boots didn't want to unify as bad as he thought he wanted to unify, because when it came time to break away for some bread on the low, it kind of looked like Boots kind of turned into a prize fight all of a sudden, right? The legacy thing was like, all right, we're going to do the legacy thing, but the prize fighting part of Boots, which Eddie Hearn, I'm sure, was enlightening him on, listen, man, you're in a space right now to where every moment you sitting here at 147 is one day shy of an opportunity you have to make in the biggest bag of your life with Turki Al-Sheikh at 154, right? Like, he's got to be thinking about these things, and it's just like, look, if nobody's going to give me the fight, if Eddie's telling him, I really am not optimistic of your chances of becoming an undisputed champion in this division without spending obscene amounts of money and really putting us in a position of, as a company, as your promoter, we're not making no money. You'll be making money because I got to pay you, but I can't put you on pay-per-view. Philadelphia is where your biggest fan base is at. I'd have to probably take you out of Philadelphia and put you in Vegas to get these fights done. We're going to be cross-promoting with the PBC, who I don't have a great relationship with, and Turkey doesn't want nothing to do with the conversation unless you're at 154. Decisions, weigh it out. We got to weigh out all these different things. I don't fault the Normans as bad as I did yesterday or a couple of days ago. I still hold them accountable because at the end of the day, you guys talked a lot of ish, but the weight of the situation does seem to fall on Boots Ennis' shoulders as far as who really stood to benefit the most out of this situation and who lost out the most in it not happening, being looking at the current situation he's in right now, which he's going to either have to vacate his belt or fight a fight that he's going to be seeing about $2 million on to fight Karen Kukudashian. He's not going to see that $4 to $5 million. He's going to see fighting with Brian Norman. And let's put it like this: is also think of it like this: if Boots would have given over the 500 G's, let's say he gave over the half a ticket to Brian Norman, he would have been walking away with like $3.5 to $4 million. Is probably what he would have walked away with. Now he's going to fight Karen in another country, and he's going to walk away with $2 million. That 500,000 doesn't look so horrible right now. You know what I'm saying? And even if he wasn't going to become undisputed at 147, being a unified champion at 147 would have definitely gave him a lot more weight and a lot more leverage in negotiating whatever potential opportunities he had at 154 or has at 154 when he decides to go up there with Turkey. So it looks like he lost out the most on it. Shout out to 2 Cents for putting some color in the chat. I appreciate you, Queen. Thank you. Support for the channel, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for that love right there, man. But yeah, man, that's where I'm at with it. Sorry for being so long-winded, but you know how I get. You know I go OD. Let's see what else we got here in the chat as we going down here. Oh God, let me get back up here. It's a duck. Teach saying, Claymore, the shop analogy used on the Blue Blood channel, the item was never at a set amount. It started off lower and the store owner kept raising it. No, it started high. Who's the store owner? Is Boots the store owner, or is Brian Norman the store owner? If he's the store owner, then the price started off high, right? The negotiation started at at 2.8. You walk into the store and you made an offer for $750,000 for something he had on the shelf for 2.8 million. You know what I'm saying? So the negotiation started there and came down from 2.8 million and ended up wherever it was at. So I don't know. Maybe you want to add some context to what you were saying here. Let's see here. Raise the price until Eddie couldn't offer anymore. He didn't raise it. He started off high and went low. I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys got that, what I just said, or if you got any type of like rebuttal to it to like discredit it. But Mr. Big Play says, so do you feel the same way about Bud not fighting Boots? Bud said Boots don't bring anything to the table. Yeah. I think Bud has his right to you know what I mean? Yeah. Bud and Boots is a different situation. 100%, 2 cents. Let's keep going down. Teach. As for the purse bid, I don't think anyone would outbid Matchroom. For that fight. Karen's promotion watched that whole fiasco with Eddie and B Norm Sr. Yeah, he did. I bet you he did. Let's see here. Boots needs media training. He came out and said Norman turned the fight down and started all of this. Could have stayed a rumor. That's true too. Boots did kind of start off. Yeah, Boots. Yeah, man. Social media didn't help these guys out in this situation at all. I'll be honest with you, both sides. Social media didn't help them. I think it's a chance Norman loses that belt. Possibly vacate the belt and make Boots versus Virgil. Okay, let me see. Boxing Wizard says it's more on Norman Sr. The fight didn't happen, not Boots. I disagree. I think it's more on Boots' side. You know what I'm saying? They could have gave that bread up, bro. Let me see here. Move up, fight Madrimov. Okay. All right, we're getting good. We're good. I'm not gonna keep going. I see. Shout out to Sammy Sosa in the building. Another country. Yeah, Sammy. If Karen's team won that bid, which is what they did, I don't see why they would make that fight United States. Why wouldn't they have Boots come to Karen's home country since his home country is paying for it? Why wouldn't they take that opportunity to bring that fight over there and make something happen? I mean, if they decide to do it over here, that's on them. But I know if I pay for something, I'm going to want to be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's going to happen where I'm comfortable at, where I got fans at, where people are going to cheer me on. But we'll see what he chooses to do. Dragonfly Eddie was not offering the Normans no 50-50 from Boots. I think Boots would have gave it, but Eddie didn't offer that. Yeah, I didn't know. I heard about that 50-50 thing. I'm not too sure about how that worked out. You know, I think Blue said something about that, but I don't know. What does Boots get out of fighting overseas, out of bounds and hostile territory will be greater than beating Norman Jr. at home? Yeah, I agree with you, Texas 16. But he's in the situation that he's in right now. You know what I mean? That's what he's in. He's in that situation. Now, let me ask you this, Ray. Is Jerron Boots Ennis, now that this chapter seems like it's getting ready to be over, is he now a prize fighter more than a legacy fighter at this point? You got to turn on your mic.
My answer is I'll say no for now because I have to wait to see this. Yes, he wants the bag. Of course, every fighter fights for the prize. That's at the end of the day, that's what it's really about. The ultimate goal is to be the champion, though. And his roots seem to be stemmed down to boxing and go through the whole legacy drawing of boxing. And his whole family's been boxers. Up to his dad, and his dad's been a great trainer. His brother's been helping training. They're in a boxing gym, so the legacy is actually first, in my opinion, with him. I think the money comes with it. I don't think he's struggling for anything. So no, the money's not a big thing, but I think he has morals. At the end of the day, I think, and this is just me flipping the coin here, because I play two sides of the coin, Clay, and I'm playing Two-Face right now. So right now he has morals, and his morals is obligated to his team and his stance. Sometimes you got to take a stance on things. I do think he should have called his bluff. He should have threw out the nickel and seen what it came back as. Him not throwing it out basically leaves all of us wondering what happened. Do I see anybody as a duck here? Absolutely not. I think you have one. I think you just have two different sides of the coin. One is actually sitting there trying to gain as much as they can in the situation that they can because it's prosperous. The other is sitting there saying, hey, I want this fight, but I'm not going to give you what you think you deserve because you're not worth it. To your point of Brian Norman being a young fighter and he has time, I don't see Brian Norman as a champion that's going to win out a lot of these fights coming up in this future because he's not that star name. But he was the guy putting his stamp in the the list saying, hey, I can do it. I can come up there and fight you. I can beat you possibly. Let's do it. You have to take advantage of these things. And those are the things like that you really want to go out and do as Boots. Boots definitely dropped the ball, in my opinion, overall, because he's the star. He's the guy that's supposed to pick up the pieces and put it together so he can make the fight happen. I don't care what Brian Norman did. I don't care what Brian Norman said. I don't care none. And I'm not saying that because I don't think he did anything wrong. I think Brian Norman definitely outpriced himself. So I'm on the side of that. But what I'm saying is Boots is the guy in control of the whole pot. He's the guy that controls the destiny of Undisputed. He wants Undisputed. Again, I said again, if you have a deck of cards and you're playing poker, playing 21, and you sit there and you say, hit me, and you get 21 and you say, hit me again, you're a fool. You know what I mean? This guy did that. He knew what he needed. He was right. He was at 20 and he knew that he had the hand over the dealer, but yet he still wanted to go out and make this decision to say, hey, go fight this other guy. He knew these circumstances coming into this fight. He knew the circumstances when he had the first title. Me and you talked about this, Clay, and I talked about it before on the channel where I said Boots' biggest problem is no one has to unify with another champion. There's no law, no rule in boxing saying the champions have to unify. They're different sanctions. They don't have to come together. These guys can stay as far away from Boots as possible until he decides to leave, and then they can do what they need to do on their own terms. Because Boots is the guy that wants it. These guys are not willing to fight him. And regardless if you want to call them ducks or whatever for avoiding him, he's a dangerous fighter. And the risk for the reward is not there. And we just seen that. And as long as there's no reward there for these fighters to come fight him, they're not going to move up. It doesn't matter if it's 20 times, 40 times the amount they want to pay or they're asking for. That's what they want, and that's what they believe the risk is. So we have to look at it as the champion at hand, which is Boots, because they're both champions, but he's obviously the star, right? The star champion. He has to make that decision. Hey, if I'm willing to pay you, then let's do it. If he's not going to pay him, then they're going to walk away, and they're going to still continue with their business as is. Hey, I get it, though.
Yeah. I agree with you, man. Yeah, as far as him being a prize fighter, me personally, I think there is some prize fighting essence coming to the surface here that Boots has to make a choice. And if Undisputed and unifying is an option for him, then the next best option would be to start thinking about, you know what I'm saying, his brand, his money. He has other fighters now. He has a promotional company. He has to think about that exposure. He needs to think about those big platforms, and he has a lot to entertain. To entertain, you know what I mean? No, I didn't, Tyrese. That's still what I do, brother. We'll talk about that in a minute, okay? But you know, he has a lot to think about. He has a business and a brand now to think about. And although he has his personal aspirations in becoming an undisputed champion, if that's not realistic for him, the prize fighting part of boxing looks like it's starting to come to the surface a little bit, to where he has to start taking that into consideration. Like, it's not just about me at this point. It's about my team. It's about the fighters that I have underneath me right now that I've promised that I'm going to do everything I can to put them in the best position, right? That I'm trying everything I can to get those guys where they need to be. Business has to start becoming important to me. Business has to start being something that I'm concerned about, and then I'm starting to make moves that align with my business aspirations now, especially if my personal championship legacy aspirations, it's not looking that bright for me. I need to start weighing these things out. Like, I'm sure he's still going to be chasing belts when he can get a belt, but he's going to be thinking about this relationship with Turkey. He's going to be thinking about this relationship with Eddie and promoting his fighters. He's got to start thinking about all these things. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Mr. Big Play Bray with the $5 high, man. I appreciate you, family. Thank you. Grassroots support here. Old man Bob wasn't going to let Norman Jr. put the belt up in his first defense. Bob seems like he was helping Eddie to push Boots to 154. I'm with the first half of this statement. I'm not sure about the second half of this statement as far as how much Bob and Eddie were in cahoots to move Boots to 154. But listen, man, I don't think that Top Rank was on board with Norman making his first title defense against Jaron Boots Ennis. I think Jaron Boots Ennis, for the most part, gets the respect he's supposed to get across the space evenly. I think everybody knows he's probably the best 147 pounder in the division. not, Bob is not a foolish person to just blindly support Brian Norman Jr. and think that he's going to beat everybody. They understand the odds games when it comes to Jerron Boots Ennis. I don't think he was on board with putting this thing together when it comes to that conversation, right? I'm going to say that, Eddie Hearn, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt to say he truly put his best foot forward and really tried to help Boots get these goals. But I do think there was a limit. There was an understanding and probably discussed with Boots, and it's like, listen, we're going to push this to a certain limit, but we're not going to let it get out of hand because we still have an ROI that we have to be concerned with. And I think Eddie Hearn has approached this 2024 season of boxing going into 2025 way more conscious of that ROI acronym than he was in the previous years. I think he's way more concerned based on his experience he had with Devin Haney and investing in him and not receiving those profits. We already know how that worked out. I think he's becoming way more conscious of that, and knowing that Turki Al-Sheikh is waiting for him right there at 154 to help alleviate the pressure of spending his money on making these fights. It had to be an enticing thing, and I could also see why he had vested interest in advising Boots Ennis probably from the beginning that 154 was going to be the best look for him, but let's see what we can do at 147. I saw 2 Cents put something in here a little earlier about why Turki Al-Sheikh didn't get involved at 47. Look, man, we have to understand that Turki's allowed to have what entices him that he wants to be involved in, and also have the things that don't entice him, that he's not interested in being involved with, right? So when he looks at 147, he doesn't see the mega fights, right? For Boots. He doesn't see the big fights. Turki wants to make the biggest fights, and he doesn't see the big fights at 147. He sees the big fights at 154. He's probably looking at Terrence Crawford. To be honest with you, is probably the fight he's looking at, or Virgil Ortiz or Tim Tszyu or all those other fighters up there. So yeah, it's not far-fetched that Turki's here for his personal reasons. And I think the boxing space has made it very taboo that Turki Al-Sheikh would be in a business like boxing with personal aspirations, with things that he wants to actually do for his personal reasons, things that help promote what he's trying to promote, not only boxing, but also what's going to benefit his country and what's going to benefit him. It's not just, I'm just throwing a bag of money in the air because I'm in love with this sport like this and I don't care. No, it's not about that. Everything does have a purpose. And if he doesn't want to support Boots Ennis at 147, it's not far-fetched. Look, man, Eddie Hearn clearly doesn't want to put too much money into 147. Everybody's kind of seen that. Cameron Duncan didn't want to put a lot of money at 147. You know what I'm saying? Steve Espinosa and Showtime didn't want to put a lot of money 147 to make these fights. Turki Al-Sheikh and Eddie Hearn aren't going to be the first people and aren't the first people to see 147 as really a difficult division to properly promote Boots at and get in those fights, because the prize of the risk versus the reward ratio seems to hold weight in that conversation. So, I mean, that's why Turki's not supporting it. I don't know, man. Let's see here. 2 Cents again saying unless he goes to the PBC, he's gonna have the same problems at 54, in my opinion. I wanted to see what Eddie would do for him, but I don't see it doesn't seem to be working out. Yeah, time will tell, but I'm not gonna lie. It is something to look at. It is something to look at, like, what's going to happen with Boots. The next chapter of this conversation will be the relationship Boots has with Turki Al-Sheikh, and let's see what Turki Al-Sheikh is able to bridge for Boots at 154. Let's see what Turki's been speaking to Al Heyman about, or speaking to the leadership over at PBC about. Last time I heard Turki spoke to the PBC, he seems very optimistic of how the conversation went. He felt like it went in a very positive way. Let's see if that manifests into anything positive for Boots. Let's see if Boots at 154, if Turki's able to go ahead and facilitate some opportunities up there with him on the Riyadh season card, not the matchroom cards, the Riyadh season cards, right? Let's see what happens when that comes at. Tyree says, Claymore, call it a duck as it is, bro. Don't fall for the trap. Listen, how about this, guys? How about this? Technically speaking, I don't have a problem with people wanting to call Brian Norman a duck. to a degree, right? And I'm gonna tell you why. Because at the end of the day, the fight could be made, and he priced himself in a space to where he knew the price wasn't going to go any higher. And rather than taking the fight that he kind of sold us that he was interested in, he decided to pass on it. But at the same time, I'm not going to call him a duck personally, because I think that I can empathize with the understanding that he doesn't have to fight him right now. And this was something that Boots was initiating, and it was up to Boots to kind of meet the price point that they were at to make the fight. It was up to Boots to take it, you know what I'm saying? And make it happen. The fight they didn't walk away from the fight like under no circumstances are we going to fight. No, they walked away with, you didn't meet my price point. I worked with you. I started at 2.8, came down to 2.2, and ultimately told you I would have rocked out at 2 million, and you didn't want to do that. You wanted to stay at 1.75. So the duck conversation is cool, just to point fingers and just to be, the shock value of saying duck. But in the spirit of making fights, how does that help? The fight is not happening because both of those guys couldn't agree on something for them to be in the ring with each other. That's why the fight is not happening. Boots didn't meet the price point that was in front of him. And when you look at the big picture of what options Boots had, he really didn't have that many options. So he really had all vested interest in taking that offer, as bad as he might have felt for spending the money and thinking that Brian Norman himself wasn't worth it. Like I said earlier, the WBO title that Boots professed and has been professing for a year and some change now, and Bozie's been professing for over a year now, was the most important thing to him in that division. And they were trying to get it done as soon as possible so they can go to 154, but they let this one go by, right? So it's on him. It definitely is on him, in my opinion. Let's see here. Shout out to 2 cents for gifting out. So you want to say something, Ray? Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You do that. Yeah. I got it after you're done.
Okay, let me see here. I just want to go down. Adam Hurley, it's sounding. They're already starting to duck Boots at 154. Supposedly Bohachuk turned down a Boots fight. I'm not too sure about Adam Hurley about that duck situation at 154. I think the Bohachuk fight was more so a November, turning it down to fight him in November in Philadelphia. I think that Philadelphia part of the conversation is also another thing that's kind of like making the negotiations kind of complicated. A lot of these fighters don't want to come to Philadelphia and fight in Boots' backyard. That's giving them a lot of A-side privilege, a lot of I'm the guy privilege, and a lot of these guys don't feel like Boots is the guy. They feel like he hasn't earned the guy title as much as we might want to say he has a guy title because, we're fans of Boots, right? But at the end of the day, he has one belt. He hasn't fought anybody of any real significance yet. You know what I'm saying? He just has a lot of promise, and the eye test says that he's going to be one of these fighters, right? But in all essence, why should a fighter who also has a belt leave his comfort zone or go into Boots' comfort zone to give him all the advantages, all the A-side privileges, all the A-side money, all of that, and go over there and fight it? Like, what really is going to motivate them to do that? So I think that's what it's more so about. I think once these negotiations open up a little bit more on an even space and an even playing field to where it's like, no, okay, we could fight in Vegas, or let's fight at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, or, let's go to these neutral areas and let's make this money close to 50-50 as possible in order for Boots to get the opportunities that he wants. I think it's not far-fetched that we start seeing fights start manifesting off the strength of that. You know what I mean? Take that for whatever it's worth. Let's see. Mr. Big Play, but if Boots goes 147 is wide open, and we know Top Rank love belts. Yeah, once I could promise you, once Boots leaves 147, if he does, you're going to see 147 get very active. You're going to start seeing things move around, in my opinion, in 147 once he leaves out of there. You're going to start seeing people come up from 140 into 147, and you're going to start seeing people in 147 fighting each other, maybe even some unification fights. Boots is the boogeyman, man. He moves the needle down there, and I don't want to say nobody's scared of Boots. I'm sure you guys will be comfortable to say, but I'm going to say, like, people ain't looking forward to being in front of Boots. He seems to be a very complicated, very athletic, a power puncher. You know what I'm saying? He just, like Blue said a little bit earlier, like he's like a reincarnation of Roy Jones in some ways. You know what I'm saying? Just a hard fighter to figure out. Orthodox, but can get very unorthodox on you real quick and make your life very difficult. Let's see, 2 cents. If that's the case, this is all about Boots. Well, if that's the case, this is all Boots' fault because nobody willing to put the money up for him at 47. He don't make a move soon, he will lose his momentum. In my whole 2 cents. Ouch. Yeah, man. Boots got some things to think about. You know what I mean? Yeah, Boots should have been a star. He got mishandled. Yeah, but I mean, who are we gonna blame that on? If Boots has been mishandled, it wasn't Eddie. Eddie just got him. Right. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't Eddie. So who are we gonna point the finger at? I don't know. You know what I mean? A lot of fight.
Steven Espinosa.
Yeah. Cameron Duncan, rest in peace. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it'd be Steven, because Steven was his matchmaker. Remember, even Cameron Duncan, even though he signed to Cameron Duncan, that still was a Showtime fighter. He was on the books for Showtime. So Steven Espinosa had all his rights to his fights and his matchmaking. So it would have been Steven.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. You know, I mean, do you think at this point the ban plays on it? Do you think the 147-pound division has effectively frozen out Jaron Ennis? Like, have they effectively frozen him out at this point?
I knew that back in January, Clay, when we talked about this, when I made a big statement about it then. I knew this. I was like, yo, he's only got a few fighters there that's willing to fight him. The problem with it is, and I was actually just going to touch on this, is that he has fighters in his division that he could have made the paydays that he just offered Brian Norman to get these fights, and he would have had good fights. And at the IBF division, he could have actually fought somebody in the top 15, top 10, probably top 5, and he could have actually had somebody and told him, hey, look, I want to satisfy my mandatory with this fight since I'm fighting the division. They would have probably approved that. It could have been a Conor Ben. It could have been Jin Sasaki. It could have been Alex Rocha. It could have been Gabriel Venezuela. He had so many fighters that he could have just took on a decent fight, paid them well, got the fight, satisfied this mandatory. We wouldn't even be going through this right now. You know what I mean? We'd have been on to the next one already. But because, you know, you wait too long and you try to let everything play out and you put your cards on the table saying you only want these straps, these things happen. And that kind of hurts you at the end of the day. So now you see what happens when you play games. You got to listen to your promoters sometimes. I know the promoters don't seem like they're doing right by the boxers and things like that, but we have to listen to the promoters because the promoters at the end of the day know what's best for their fighters. They know where the money is because they want to make money. They're not looking to hold you back and do all those things. Bro, it's so much that, like I said, it's so much that was on the table for this guy that he could have just did, but he just held on to this undisputed thing for so long and do nothing but hurt him. It just hurt it. It hurts him. And I know he's more upset that he did this now, what, 2-3 years now? You know what I mean? Waiting, as opposed to just moving to 154 a year or two ago. Look at him. Look what he's going through.
Yeah, it's difficult, and I was right there with you. I definitely was in the same conversations. I mean, we talked to each other enough, so you know what I'm saying. This was a conversation that we spoke about. In the same time, we were talking about the David Benavidez situation. We were talking about the Devin Haney situation. We were talking about a lot of these guys who were sitting in these weight classes that, you know, the opportunity wasn't there for them, and you know. Knowing that that entertaining moving up in weight was going to have to start coming into context for them. And not Devin in particular so much, but in some ways Devin, but mainly like Boots and David Benavidez, right? Just knowing that, listen, if the opportunity is not there for you in division, listen, when these guys are cutting all this weight to make these weight cuts, and hold on, let me just shout out to a couple people in here real quick.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Dr. Boxing Talk in the building. Salute, King. How you doing, bro?
Salute, brother, man.
Yeah, man, that's a good dude, bro. I like his perspective in the space. Shout out to Texas 16 South, J Pitt City in the building. I think I already shouted out Adam Hurley. If I missed you, my bad, man. But salute to all you guys here. Let me see here. Did I miss anything? 2 cents. Pop. Okay, we're good to go. Yeah, but guys, when these guys are sitting here in these divisions, right? Boxing there's like so many different moving parts of boxing, but I'll say 3 major things that I always take from boxing, right? Number 1, obviously, is the fight in the ring, right? The second fight is cutting the weight, right? That's probably the first fight. Actually, the first fight is cutting the weight and finding that division where you can be at a comfortable weight, but at the same time, be strong, right? Be at your best, athletically able to deliver and manifest what you've been working on inside of that gym in the preparation for that fight the best way without depleting yourself. Then there comes the fight in the ring, right? But then there's also the other part, which is the matchmaking, the business, the money part, everything happening outside the ring to build the event that you're going to be performing at. If a fighter like Boots Ennis, who's walking around at 190, 185 pounds on any given Sunday, right, is cutting weight to be at 147, it's reasonable to say that he's there. He should be there with purpose, right? He should be there with understanding that I have a window of time, right, to go ahead and put my best foot forward, and I should be trying to unify. Things should be happening down there for me so that I can ultimately build myself up to be in my comfortable weight, whether that's 154, whether that's 160, whether that's 168, wherever it is that Boots is his best at. 147 ain't the best version of Boots. It's not the best version of Boots, but Boots is down there with purpose. He's serving himself purpose to get legacy, and he's trying to work down there. Same thing with David Benavidez, right? If I'm going to be at 168, cutting weight, to sit there and compete at 168, I need to be there with purpose, knowing that I'm heading towards titles, unifications, undisputed, fighting the best of the best, putting my name in the books as one of those guys. Once that's not available to me anymore, and I realize that's not available to me anymore to happen, moving up I think is a natural response to understanding that the division is not working for you. Right. So we saw a long time ago that Boots Ennis was getting shunned by the 147-pound weight class division, that his aspirations of becoming an undisputed champion in that division was going to be slim to none, because especially, I'm going to be honest with you guys, especially when he got the IBF belt, we knew it was a wrap then, because now he can't even activate mandatories, right? He's a champion now. So now fighters can legitimately be like, nah, I don't want to fight him, right? And you got a division where they're not that motivated to unify. He's spending his time down there. At some point, the weight cuts and all this situation is going to get to him, and he's risking getting clipped, something happening to him having a bad weight cut, and just not being the best person he could be in the ring that night. And now his whole entire legacy gets in question because he gets clipped, probably not by another champion, right? Because they're not fighting him. Somebody who we would think is not supposed to be able to beat him clips him, and his legacy gets hurt, right? So it was a stubbornness in the Ennis team after a while, watching them constantly undisputed. And it was like, bro, they're not going to fight you. Right. I can see it. I know you have to be able to see it. And what do you think is going to happen? And I think Eddie Hearn's whole presence was like, all right, we're going to have this money now. We've got a machine behind us now that's going to be able to offer the money. Maybe we can motivate them to fight us then. But you see what they want with the money. They want ridiculous money. They don't want regular money. They want crazy money. Eddie Hearn ain't built like that, and Turkey don't care about you becoming undisputed at 147. Think about it like this, guys, right? Once Eddie Hearn, or let's say Turkey Al-Sheikh, were to put money behind Boots Ennis and support him on his undisputed campaign, right? He becomes undisputed. What's stopping Boots Ennis from just signing over to the PBC after they've spent the money, took all the losses, built him up, make him undisputed? What's stopping him from moving on to the next opportunity that doesn't involve them and they don't get no return? Talk to Eddie Hearn about how he feels about his relationship with Devin Haney right now. That he's done all these things for Devin Haney, gotten out the way for multiple different big fights, big money fights for Devin Haney, because they didn't want him in the conversation. Invested in fights where he didn't see the return. When he did the Regis Prograis fight, it's not far-fetched to say that Eddie didn't make a lot of money on that fight. The pay-per-view sales weren't that impressive. You know what I mean? He made the event big. Devin made money for sure. Devin made the money, right, for sure. But now Eddie wants to recoup that, and he's like, listen, man, let's go ahead and start looking to make fights with the Liam Paros, with the Subriel Matiezes, you just took this loss from Ryan Garcia and I wasn't involved. You made a whole bunch of money supposedly from that. And I wasn't involved in it because I wasn't allowed to be involved in it because that was a Golden Boy situation. And then Devin Haney responds to Eddie Hearn and says, nah, man, I need you to put money up for the Sandor Martin fight. He's like, bro, ain't no money in the Sandor Martin fight. We starting on this shit again? I thought we agreed already that we were going to move and we were going to become prize fighters. You said it at the press conference. You let it be known across the board that you were chasing money now. People were making fun of you because now you're talking about making money. You're not talking about legacy. Now you back on this legacy shit and you want me to foot the bill on this shit. You never asked the other guys to foot the bill on it. You're prize fighters with them and all of a sudden you're a legacy fighter with me, right? You're a legacy fighter with me. Eddie's not trying to do that with Boots. He's not trying. He hears Boots' aspirations to be a unified champion, right? But at the same exact time, there's a limit. Like I'm going to go so far. The money for Eddie Hearn, the money for Jerome Boots Ennis is at 154 because that's where Turkey's going to be paying him the top dollar. That relieves Eddie Hearn of the responsibility of having to spend the money to fund Boots Ennis's fights. And that's where Boots Ennis gets the biggest bag. And also, in my opinion, the biggest legacy fights are there at 154. The most competitive fights for him at 154. And it's a weight class where he's not cutting as much weight as he is to be down at 147. It is what it is. How do you feel about that, Ray? Am I doing too much?
No, you're on the money, man. You really saying everything you need to say, and like I can't remind myself so many times that we spoken on this. Not to mention, like you said, the freeze out is there. You know what I mean? People are not even moving into the division. Josh Taylor was supposed to move up to 147 last year after the debacle he had with homeboy Teofimo. Right, he didn't move up. Why? Because there's a risk there. He's got to move up. He might have to fight Boots. You didn't see a lot of these guys moving up. Why? Because Boots is there. Boots' opportunity is at 154. It's always been at 154. He was so reluctant to stay there, like you just said. And his goal was to stay there, and he did not see the pressures and everything holding him there. Like, yo, you're there, and there's nobody's a ghost town. What are you doing? You're like waiting for somebody to roll into town on their horse to challenge you to a shootout. No one's going to do that, bro. They're staying away from you, bro. You know what I mean? Everybody's hiding. And I'm not saying that they're ducking, but they're hiding. They don't see the reward. There's no reward there to come catch this bad guy. The sheriff is bugging, right? And then Eddie Hearn is trying to explain this to him. Eddie Hearn has put his bag up. If this was the case, then they would have did the same thing. Steven Espinosa would have had him in great fights. He would have been talking to Al when they had Showtime Network, and they would have had to get these fights together, right? The best fight he got so far, I think, on his resume is Roman Vita. You know what I mean?
That's a fact, bro.
I mean, that's the best fight he has on his resume. And everybody else, I mean, Lipinets too, maybe Lipinets, but Lipinets went down from 147 to 140 and fought there
100%.
for like 2 years and came back up. So that wasn't even, to me, that wasn't even a great fight. I was like, yeah, he beat him, but he went down and came back up. It wasn't like he was there the whole time. The guy has been, hasn't challenged himself enough. And I think the challenges will be met at 154. I've been saying this because it's like, here, and the prime example, and everybody's going to get this. It's like being the best high school football player or athlete, basketball player. And then you go to college, and he heard your coach. And you get there, and you're like, Coach, put me in. He's like, yeah, you're talented. Yeah, let's put you in. And everybody's at the same level, which is 154, right? But then you go there, and you're playing, hey, Nick J, salute. What's up, Root Exposure Truth? What's going on? Yeah, so and let's just say that he comes up there and he's in the division and he's like, Coach, I don't want to stay there. I just want to keep playing an extra year of high school or whatever they call that, a transition school, which gives him another year of high school to play. And I just want to dominate these kids again. And they're like, yo, why are you wasting your time doing that when you can put your talents over here and just rock out, bro? Now I'm just going to go to junior college for a year after that, and I'm going to rock out there. Bro, why are you wasting your time? You can just come up here and you can just, you know what I mean? You can be somebody and you'll be playing with people that meet your demand. You'll be playing, you know what I mean? You'll be able to run, and if you shine there, you're going to look better. No, it's okay. I want to look like I'm here. I'm just going to be out running everybody. I'm going to catch the ball over everybody. I'm going to score on everybody. I'm just going to do everything. And that's what his mindset is. I want to be undisputed here. I want to get all 4 belts. The belts are doing this. It's like the Dragon Ball. You ever watch Dragon Ball Z? It's like the Dragon Balls. They just scattered away, bro. You got to go locate them. Go get your belt locator and find the belts and then make an offer and make sure the offer ain't crazy. And that's where the problem is, bro. He needs to go 154. He needs to get in line to the IBF. I think he should make his talks right now to the IBF and say, look, I know I have a mandatory title. If I drop the belt, I move up. Can I get in one of those one or two spot? Because there's 2 spots, number 1 and number 2. Can I get one of those spots or fight somebody for that 1 or 2 spot and get in conversation for the next fight with the winner of, I'm going to mess it up again. Imagine Marviva and because I don't know. I can say Kukajagin all day, but I cannot say that.
From Muratalev, right?
Muratalev. There you go. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, it's whatever. I'm not even going to try to say it again. Right. It's like blue. Earlier, but he can get in conversation with the winner of that fight, and he can be the champion there, and then make a run across that board. Got to play your cards right, man. You got to play chess, not checkers. You know what I mean? He's playing checkers.
No doubt, no doubt. Let me read what Nick J said here. Boots isn't ready to go to 154, in my opinion. There's no filler fight for him up there. It's immediate smoke whoever he fights. I think he needs to fight with one of the other champs at 147 before moving up. I ain't gonna lie, Nick, I don't agree. I think Boots is the man is there. He's prime Boots. He's not prospect Boots. He's not I need to develop Boots. I need the right dance partner so I can show who I am at this point. It's barbecue or mildew time for Boots Ennis. I think Boots Ennis would disagree with it. I think he's ready to deal with some real smoke. He's ready to check the boxes and answer a lot of questions. You know what I mean? The question is going to be closer to what 2 Cent said a little bit earlier, is how much success is he going to have at getting those opportunities at 154? How much obstacles is he going to run through? You know what I mean, that he's going to have to run through in order to make these things manifest. 147 just ain't it for him anymore. I'll be honest with you. Unless the only way I see Boots Ennis legitimately staying at 147 is if he had a straight path to undisputed. I'm talking about fight Brian Norman Jr. next. After that fight, get a fight with Mario Barrios next, or Stanionis next. After that fight, get a fight with Mario Barrios next. Become an undisputed champion. I'm saying don't even defend your belts. Get the hell up out of there and go to 154. He's been there long enough.
I'm sorry, Clay. My bad. So what I was going to say is, just to answer her question, this is what I think. This is out of Boots' mouth. These guys down here don't pose no threat to me. I'm just having fun. I'm bored. You know what I mean? I'm doing things I shouldn't be doing in the ring. I need to
get worse, right? Like he might actually be getting worse at 147. Look at how much he got hit in his last fight, right? The bad habit he's building down there, how easy it is for him. Go ahead, my bad.
No, you good. I'm just laughing because you were saying what I was going to say. So I was just going to, but yeah. So that too, right? He is getting worse. He could possibly be getting worse by playing with the you know what I mean, the Play-Doh instead of playing with the real action figures. You know what I mean? Pause. He can go up there, get some fights, you know what I mean? Got some kung fu grip on these dudes. Like, yo, I'm sorry, I went sideways. Yeah, he can go up there and fight these guys. Yes, it's more risky, but he wants to reach in his tool bag. That was what he said. It doesn't matter if it's a risk. Every fight is a risk. He could fight somebody. He could have fought Brian Norman. That could have been a risk. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, he wants to go in his bag. He said, only people that's going to bring, what did he say at 147 before? Only 2 people that's going to bring this out of me is 2 people. What did he say? Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford. Nobody else in the division he mentioned. So he already knew in his mind that there was nobody there that can mess with him. So him doing that, take these off for a second. Him doing that, he already knew what it was. So now him moving up to the next division is going to say, okay, well, I got these guys here, plus I got more. I mean, now there's more people. It's more people in my grade. Now I can sit here and hang out with people and sit at the right lunch table. I ain't got to sit at the kiddie table no more. That's what he needs to do, and that's where he needs to go with it. And I think that's where that's where he'll make his most statement, and we'll see him grow better there. Hey, L happens. You know what? Sugar Ray took an L. Mike Tyson took an L. Muhammad Ali took an L. Guess what? They happened, but they were the greatest. They're the greatest fighters that we always bring up when we talk about fights. So it's wrong with that. What's up, Rick Tim? Salute,
Rick. Let's see here. What does Q2 say? Boots is getting easy money. He ain't going nowhere. Legacy isn't attached to any fight. That's at 147. No matter how many belts he win, no one will remember it.
Delusional. Sorry.
Sorry. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. Let me see here. Nick J said, I ain't mad at it. I hope he gets what he wants. He wanted undisputed, but if he changes his mind, I'm with it. I think the division changed his mind for him. The division let him know that, one thing about boxing is we ain't got to fight each other.
Right.
And that gets in the way with a lot of things, man. When people say things like, I'm not leaving here until I become undisputed, that's a very crazy thing to say, because you ain't got to be undisputed, because if the fighters in that division aren't willing to unify, if you don't have the right machine behind you with the right amount of money to motivate these other fighters to fight you in this division, you're not getting nowhere near an undisputed title. You know what I mean? And you look at what Boots has been up to since he's been at 147. The best he could do is get an interim title that got elevated to a full title when the IBF stripped Terrence Crawford. He's had no opportunity to fight champions at 147. He's fought no champions at 147. Fair. You know what I mean? Why would he want to? He can literally be digressing by staying at 147, like Ray alluded to earlier. Literally be getting worse, building up bad habits, taking risks that he doesn't need to take, getting hit with shots he shouldn't be getting hit with because he doesn't respect the opponents out in front of him. And we all know that we're creatures of habits. As a human being, we're creatures of habits. What you do most of the time is what you do all the time. The way you do the littlest thing is the way you do the biggest things. We'd like to believe that we can treat something insignificantly, and that we will change our mindset once we get in front of something significant. But the reality is, if you're more used to dealing with things that are insignificant, once you get to the significant thing, you're probably going to treat the significant thing insignificantly and drop the ball, right? Because what you're used to doing is what you're going to do. So if he's sitting at 147 pounds, taking these chances, moving around the way he's moving around, what happens when he gets in front of that person he should be playing like that with? He's gonna get clipped with something that he's used to getting clipped with at 147, but being able to absorb that shot. But he's gonna get clipped by somebody he shouldn't get clipped with. He might get sat on his pockets. You know what I mean?
Macho Camacho, great example. Macho Camacho happened to him.
Yep.
And facts, Rick Timms. I like what you said. He hasn't fought any champions yet. So him moving to 54 puts him in the perfect category of rebuilding. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you drop your belt. You're already a champion that's established. You move up and you just start rebuilding from there at 54. I'm sorry. So does it really matter? You know what I mean? At this point, because all you're doing is you're just aging yourself out. And you're going to be like Earl Spence. You're going to stay in the division too long to wait to do something. And we don't want to see that again. Unfortunately, the division is not even, like I said, it's a graveyard. It's not even as popping as it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And it's not going to rebuild until he leaves. Nobody wants to face this gentleman at the end of the day. And it's the writing's on the wall. We just seen it. Whether you call them ducks or outpricings or whatever you want to call it, they don't want to get up there. Like I said, people staying at 140. No. It's crazy. I don't know. I'm out of words, man. I'm just stuck talking myself.
It is what it is. You know what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to send a link down. If anybody wants to come up and build a little bit, we're in that part of the show. Hope you guys have been enjoying it at this point. Listen, if shout out to everybody who's in the building. If you haven't hit the like button, please go ahead and do that. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well. Appreciate everybody that is in here. You know what I mean? We building. Definitely interested in your guys' opinion at this point where we are right now with Boots Ennis. What is your opinion? What's the best move for him? Should he move to 154? I see Nick J says he should hang out at 147. Hang out on 147 and do what, though? So what would be the next fight? Should he just go ahead and fight Karen? Should he go and fight mandatories and just operate as an IBF champion and wait till the Brian Normans become interested in fighting him, or the Mario Barrioses or the Stanionis become interested in fighting him and continue to do these weight cuts? If he's going to stay at 147, I'm going to tell you something else. Boots is in need of, he has so many boxes that he needs to check. He needs to be active. Boots needs to fight at least 3 times a year. Is Boots fighting 3 times a year at 147 pounds right now, the way the division is set up? Is he getting 3 fights a year? I don't know. You know what I mean? Shout out True Stranger to Fiction says 154 is the best option. Yeah, it's been the best option for a while. Boots needs to be active, bro. An active Boots is going to be a better Boots. It's going to be a Boots who's developing and getting better and better and giving better shows. You know what I mean? Right. Nick J say he definitely won't fight 3 times at 154. I don't know, Nick. I think it's a lot.
I'll take the 2 fights a year at 154 over trying to find 1 fight at 147.
Let's say he starts off with a Charles Conwell, right? Let's say he doesn't get right into the title contention, because he's probably not going to get right into title contention. He's going to go fight Charles Conwell right now. Big fight right there. Competitive fight. Development fight. Boom, right there. He can fight. Jonathan 97 says I like Boots at 160. He could fight
best.
Yeah, he can fight at 154, fight the Jesus Ramos, fight the Brian Mendoza, the Erickson Lubinson, the Charles Conwells, right? He could fight all those fighters right there, right? Those aren't championship fights. That's putting him in a position, ultimately, maybe before he leaves that division, get a Virgil Ortiz, and then possibly get into a title into a title fight once Terrence retires, right? He ain't fighting Terrence. I don't think so. Unless Turkey really puts the ultimate bag up, which maybe that's what the road to victory is. Maybe Turkey's gonna offer like Terrence Crawford like 50 million and offer like Boots like a solid 10 to 15 million, and that could be the super fight that Eddie Hearn is looking to make happen at 154. We don't know.
That'd be a dope fight.
That'd be a crazy huge fight. Right, but after he finished doing that, he can go to 160. Right,
I think he can take that division easy. I think he,
right?
A lot of them guys that can move up at 160 to take over that division. There's no one there. Fortunately, there's a few fighters, but few is far between a lot. So, yeah, man. Like I said, look, what are you going to do? He's going to answer Nick J. I mean, if he stays at 147, he's going to have to pay for any opponent that he has because he's high risk, higher reward. Like, you know what I mean? He's going to have to pay for these people to fight him. And I don't think that's the case unless, like Clay said, they're mandatories and then they have no choice. And then it goes down to purse bid or they bow out like Cody Cowley and don't want to get into the fight. And now they got to go search for somebody else and pay somebody else and replace him. We're going to keep seeing the same thing. And he's going to feel like he's not getting better at the end of the day. So all that training, all that hard work that you're working on, and what's up, Lance Meyer? And you're going out there and you're not even able to facilitate and use like he says all the time. I haven't been in my bag yet. So he's never going to be able to use his tools in his bag. He's going to just continue to sit there until he ages out and he gets dropped or something worse. You know what I mean? He get knocked out cold by somebody that nobody knows because he's just been there too long. He's bored. He's taking chances. I'd rather see him move up and go through the rankings and see how he's able to do that because he's not going to start at the bottom. I promise you that. Like I said, he's IBF right now, and IBF has him set at Tim Tszyu at number 4 fighting Macha Olive, whatever his name is, Backroom.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So you have Jesus Ramos, Xander Zayas, Kalen Wash, Slaw Sponmer, I don't know who that is, and then Jack Clay, and then round out the top 10. So that alone is just the IBF. There's no 1 or 2 that gives him position to move up, you know what I mean, being a title holder, or he can try to jump into a different sanction, which is a little bit better, where you have the WBO, where he has Tim Tszyu, Josh Kelly, Xander Zayas, Erickson Lubin, Errol Spence, Takeshi Inoue, Charles Conway again, which you just mentioned, Cordell Booker, Jesus Ramos, and I don't know who Friedrich Rajos is, so I got to go do some research. And of course, the same thing goes in the other sanctions. You'll start seeing different fighters pop their heads in, and other fighters moving down, but that still gives you the same roundabout fighters in the top 15. So he can move up there and get a good quality fight and jump himself right into the picture. That's the whole point of him moving up.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. 100%. Boots, let's see what he does. Let's see what happens with this Karen fight. If he takes the Karen fight, then you already know what y'all trying to look all educated with them glasses on. You know what it is. It ain't looking. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Plus, I'm blind, so my glasses are super necessary. You know what I'm saying? I think Ray has a better vision than me. He might not need his glasses as bad as I do, but I need them. I can't see ish. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see if Boots Ennis decides to. I think Ray's frozen. Yeah, he looks like he's frozen. If Boots Ennis decides to fight Karen and defend his title, then he's still on the run, trying to make a run for undisputed at 147. We'll see how that turns out. I mean, he professes that he cuts the weight easily. He feels like he makes the weight very comfortably. So, if that's what he decides, if that's what he feels like he wants to do, then that's what he's going to do. But once again, I don't know for Boots Ennis right now what's going on. You know what I mean? What he plans on doing. What else were we going to talk about as well? Because we're getting close to the end. It's actually a pretty quick show today. Normally, we end up going on for hours, but I'm kind of happy with the way this turned out. You know what we got to talk about probably tomorrow that I want to talk about is this upcoming top rank card that's coming up. That's going to have Ryan and Meyer fighting, headlining the Sioux females. But more importantly, Xander Zayas is going to be on that card, as well as Bruce. And Shushu Carrington is going to be on that card coming back out. Yeah, 2 cents. Boxing is a little slow right now, but there's a lot of things going on. You know what I mean? There's things going on, but you know, you don't want to speak on them. You want to let them brew out to where they're gonna be at. You know what I'm saying? To see what it turns out. Madrimov, logical first test. Yeah, they already got the rumors going out though that Madrimov is a logical first test for 154 for Boots Ennis. So pretty much in the space, everybody seems to be pretty much on the same page that Boots should move to 154. Like even all the content creation spaces are talking about it. You know, the big fight that we got, okay, he's back. The big fights we have right now coming up right now that we haven't spoken about. Rage, salute, Rage. I don't know if you want me to send a link out to you if you want to build a nothing, just let me know, give me the word. When are we gonna start talking about this Anthony Joshua card coming up? Because this, I'm telling you, man, this is gonna be a big card out there in the UK, bro. This is gonna be a big card. Salute, Rage. How you?
Good, Rachel.
I'm at the airport. 14 days, guys. 14 days to see what Boots is gonna do.
14 days?
14.
All right, because that's what this purse bid is in. It's a 14-day type of thing.
Yeah, any IBF purse bid. The champion has 14 days to sign the contract that's presented. If he doesn't, he gets stripped and he gets D-ranked for 6 months.
Great.
So
great.
So my idea was, and maybe I could be wrong, is it possible he can negotiate something like they did with the WBC and with Devin Haney? We said he can move up or down with Mauricio Sulaiman. Can he move up and possibly fight for one of those 1 and 2 spots at the IBF level up there at 154?
No, not once since the first bid's done.
So he's trapped.
He's trapped. I mean, that's IBF ranking. So God knows what the BC will do, or the BO, or the BA.
Damn.
That's crazy. Let me ask you a question. 2 Cents asked a real good question here. Do they still have time to make the Norman fight?
No, once the purse bid's done, that's it.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, he's trapped.
There it is. There it is. He's trapped. Yeah, man. What do you have any opinion on the way this thing is kind of like mapped out? Like a lot of people are trying to put the microscope on Eddie Hearns. They feel like he dropped the ball in the way everything was negotiated. I mean, do you feel like these things just happen, or do you feel like this didn't have to go like this? There was a better way for this to turn out. And who do you put more of the onus on to have made this situation not the way it is?
I think both sides had their own problems. I think, like, when I heard, the other side, I heard something about taxes. I heard something about like who he has to pay out. Because yes, Brian Norman's side has to pay out top rank, but this is fees that the business has to pay, right? Taxes and death are certain. So no one's going to be responsible for your taxes, because at the end of the day, it's not like the promoters don't have to pay taxes. They also have to pay taxes too. So, that as a negotiation tactic using like air quotes, like that's not a good negotiation tactic. You have to pay my taxes. No, that's not how it works. It really isn't how it works. Not that they have to pay it, but they have to, put in some buffer to pay your taxes. That's like you going over to your job and saying, hey, I need 50% more because, Medicare and the 401k, well, 401k comes back to me, but, all these other things I have to pay for, I have to pay for. So, okay, baby, I'm watching, but you should cover it. No, it's really not how it works. So the way they presented it, I think, was faulty. I think it was kind of weird. I think I understand at the end of the day, listen, you want your son to make the most money, but if he takes 3 fights to make that kind of money, or 4 fights, he's still going to have to pay taxes at the end of the day. So on that side, I thought that was wrong. When it comes to Eddie Hearn, I don't understand if your boxer wants to fight not Karen again. You have to pay your dues, right? Like, so for you not to go into this purse bid, then you have to pay someone to step up, which is the only one that's going to trump a mandatory is unification. So the other people, and you have to pay that because that's what your fighter wants. There's no way to get out of that mandatory besides the unification. So I think that when it came to that and the excuses thereof, the videos I've seen where he's like, nobody understands purse bids. Listen, I understand a purse bid. You have to have the money within the sanctioning body to be a member. You have to pay the pay to play fee. And then in addition, it's all closed envelopes. You lost the closed envelope, bro. It's plain as day. There's nothing else to say. You lost it, you lost it. There's you should have put more money down. That's all it is. So I think on both sides, like there has to be onus on this. I don't think either side had played 100%. Like yes, they're 100% in the right, but the one that's going to be affected by this, within within a short period of time is Boots. He has to make a decision. He has. I mean, literally, unless he has a good standing in the BCBA or BO, you could be taken out of the rankings of the IBF, and then what are we going to do now?
Go
You
back
can't
to
move
square
up,
one. Yeah.
because here's the thing: if they were to decide to move up, then they wouldn't have played in the purse bid. But the fact that Eddie Hearn played in the purse bid meant their intention that they were going to make the 47 division. He can't just drop it now and be like, "Well, I'm just going to move up."
Wow. Wow. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. 2 Cents says, did Eddie drop the ball, Rachel?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think like when you're weighing your fruits on both sides, like which one's the lesser of the two evils? Well, the lesser of the two evils was to just pay out Brian Norman, right?
Right.
Now, not just only the fact that someone outbid you, which was huge, just like someone outbid Eddie Hearn. I thought he's supposed to be the biggest player, right?
Right.
Now you have ketchup all over your face or whatever the hell they call it.
Right.
And then in addition to the fact, like now Boots has to make a decision. Are you going to make 1 point? Are you willing to make 1.3 to fight a guy that you already fought and beat? And then also pay Eddie Hearn 20 to 30% of the promotional fees, because it's not on Eddie Hearn's. So because it's not on Matchroom, just as the same way that Brian Norman was saying that they're going to give up 20 to 30% to Top Rank being on a Matchroom card, now it's reversed.
Crazy. Nick J says, Rachel, Nick J says it's playing out the way Eddie wanted it. He was all for Boots being undisputed when he signed him. Now it's Boots needs to move up. How do you feel about that? The idea that Eddie Hearn, that this is premeditated, that this was always the game plan, that the reason that these bids have been going the way it's been going and everything's been moving how they've been moving was because ultimately the game plan was to get Boots up to 154. What do you think about that?
We never had to go to a purse bid if he was going to move up. If he put in the actual order that Boots is notifying to the IBF that he's going to move up to the 154 category, this wouldn't have been a conversation. We wouldn't have been playing with Brian Norman or any of the other champions at 147. But because of that, now Boots is getting screwed, right? If Eddie wanted him to be at 154, there was such a better, and I'm looking for a word, it's not classy, more professional way to move him up to 154 to make sure that he has his ranking and his notoriety within the 154 division. But right now, his back's against the wall. And I think that that's what Brian Norman's camp was betting on, because of the facts like, listen, we don't have a mandatory. You do. You have a deadline. We don't. So if you have a deadline, well, now the price just went up. That's how I would think about it.
Right. That makes complete sense to me. Do you think, there are people who are entertaining the idea that Eddie was just kicking the tires, right? Like just walking around the truck, kicking the tires, making sure there was air in them, but he wasn't really inspecting and really giving the attention to the vehicle the way he was supposed to. He was, basically just playing, running through the I can't think of the word, but just playing as if he's trying to make the fight, just a fool, the Ennis team as I'm out here doing the work, but ultimately knowing that offering the money he did, that $750,000 that he offered, that he started the whole entire negotiation with, as far as with Norman's was concerned, that this was just all just to pacify the complaining coming from.
I don't want to think about anyone like that to say that, like, because I know there are snakes in the game, and I can't say that he is. I'm not going to confirm nor deny that he is. What I do see though is that I feel like what's happening within the scope of boxing, Eddie is putting himself way too thin. And because of that, things are slipping through the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do, what we're seeing what's happening now. Um, I don't. I mean, I really hope there's not. Listen, promoters are always there for the money. I'll tell you that. Um, why would they sign Boots to just derail his career for what? For Conor Benn? Like Conor Benn doesn't mean anything here in the U.S. He fought here, but he fought in the Cosmo on a brunch time on a Saturday in Las Vegas, and no one showed up. So, I mean, that's not where he's putting his eggs. You would think he's putting his eggs in Boots, and he did provide the one for the Wells Fargo Arena over in Philly, and we can't forget that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that people are pulling Eddie left and right. He only had Matchroom. Now he's, trying to be involved heavily with Riyadh and apparently their sports. What are they trying to do? A league? That's more work. It's more work and more fighters. And I don't think at this point, like, he understood that one of the balls was going to drop. And I think that this was one of the balls that got dropped. Yeah, okay, you lost a purse bid. You're like, I lost a purse bid. Well, what's the worst that can happen? Well, the worst that can happen is Boots doesn't want to fight. He gets stripped. He doesn't get ranked for 6 months. Where are you going to move him?
Interesting. When you're talking about like the vested interests of, as far as like why would he do that to derail Boots Ennis's career? I mean, Turkey's obviously interested in working with Boots Ennis at 154. You know what I'm saying? And he's interested in getting him in some big fights up there. There's money to be made for Eddie Hearn at 154 because number one, he doesn't have to foot the bill, right? To get Boots into these fights. Turkey's willing to foot the bill. Number two, the bigger fights are there at 154, right? That he doesn't have to foot the bill for, but as a manager and the head promoter of Boots Ennis stands to make, I'm assuming, a good percentage, his manager percentage of the money. So it's almost like free money for him. It frees up his money so he can start investing his own personal money in other fighters that are probably more committed for the long run with him at 147, like a Jalil Hackett. He probably sees some, he sees a future for Jalil Hackett and thinks he can hold on to him for a while, keep him busy down there. And Boots is only there for a 3-fight deal, which he's already fought 1 fight already, right, with David Avanesian. So he's only there for 2 more fights. If he's looking at Boots as a potential fly-by-night type of situation where he's expecting Boots to move on to greener pastures, maybe like a PBC or something, when this is all said and done, as far as their contract is up, would it make sense at that point as to why he'd be more interested in derailing him, quote unquote, and getting him at 154 rather than kind of playing the long run game of getting him, unified and undisputed and spending all that money and potentially not seeing the return he wants because he has to overpay all these fighters at 147 to fight him? Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. But at the same time, like I said, his better path, if he really wanted him at 154, then do what you were supposed to do and move him before he gets stripped or gets called on a mandatory position.
Sure.
That was the right way, not the way that they're doing it now. Hey,
Yeah,
Ray, I'm about to jump on a flight to Orlando. I will catch you guys later. I didn't want to go the night without saying hi to you guys. So.
All right. I appreciate you coming through. Have a safe flight, man. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Peace. Good old Rachel, always coming through, showing some love. You know what I mean? Showing some love. You're on mute, Ray.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I said it twice. I said it when I was on mute. So you, but yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, no, it's some good conversation going on in the chat. I entertained it a little bit. You know what I mean? It's a lot of fact there. That's why I had put some questions into there. I think she read the Conor Benn thing, but she missed Jalil Hackett's name. Because I think Eddie possibly could be some type of setup where I think maybe he's moving Boots up to 154, forcefully getting them there. He got other players that he can get titles at 140, at 147, right? So he has Jalil Hackett, who's a star and on the rise, and says that Eddie treats him fine. He has a Conor Benn, which Rachel said she don't see why he would do that for Conor Benn, and nobody likes Conor Benn. I get that. But still, because nobody likes him, it becomes more of a story to have him have a title, right? When somebody's hated, what happens? If they get a title, everybody wants them to get beat. So then more people tune in to watch them fight. So these things are all things that can play out and are very good measurables for him to make make sense out of him wanting to move Boots up to another division. It's crazy. If this is really, maybe Eddie's just done with our market. Maybe Eddie just doesn't really care for our fighters. I mean, it's a lot of things a lot of questions that are passing through my mind. You know what I mean? It's a miracle highway right now to me trying to figure out what's going on. But bro, what is going on right now? Like this is a really bad situation. And then getting clarity from Rachel on how the IBF works. He can't. He has to fight Karen, which I knew he had to fight Karen. I was like, he's got to fight him. He's got to fight him and then make a decision after that. Now, if that's what Eddie's plans was, I mean, that's just sad, bro. Because Eddie still has him for 3 more fights. Because even though he had this fight was supposed to be him, it's not under Eddie. It's no longer under Eddie. So he's still under contract for Eddie for those other fights. Because now he's been outbidded for this fight, and he doesn't owe Eddie anything.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, this fight is not under Eddie. This is strategy. You know what I'm saying? Eddie gets to keep him for 2 more fights. This doesn't count as one of the fights because this is a fight that's going to be over in the other. You listen, man. It's chess, not checkers, man. It's chess, not checkers, man. It's real interesting. That's why it's always great to have Rachel Donaire as a grassroots supporter of the platform, being able to have that caliber of correspondence. Right, is always an advantageous thing, and the blue bloods and the guys who show love. By the way, y'all know who y'all are. Y'all need to start showing up to this damn channel, showing love. Mill City, I know you watching. You need to pop up and say what's up. You know what I mean? Shout out to Blue, who pops up every now and then. I'm hoping to be able to get like Greg Hackett up here too at some point as well. Definitely.
You know what I mean? Bangs be working though, so you know. We appreciate Nick J coming in because she's always bringing perspective. I love her.
Nick J too, for sure. She need to hit that link every now and then. I need to find out what her schedule is because I know she's at work. Knowing when she's at work at this time of night.
Well, I was gonna say you gotta remember they're like an hour, 2 hours behind us. So
right.
Over there in Yeehaw, Texas.
Yeah, ETB too. I want to see everything boxing come through and say what's up. People that what I mean that we know about in the space that come over here and build on some boxing talk, man, because it's always interesting.
Exactly. So I'm sorry. Yeah. But my bad, y'all. I ain't mean to disrespect that. I was just in Tennessee, so I know what it's like being down. I thought y'all had accents. Them accents down in Tennessee is something different, bro.
Oh yeah, man, with the churling and the curry and the
bro, I was like, whoa. Now
Tennessee and Baltimore have very distinct accents, like what I mean. California too, like Los Angeles, they get a little crazy out there a little bit, but Tennessee,
weird slang words.
In Baltimore, yeah, they got the word, but Tennessee and Baltimore got that. You from Tennessee, ain't you? You from Baltimore? Like when you hear them talk, you immediately think about it. You know what I'm saying? They got real distinct accents.
Yeah.
Like I was saying a little bit earlier, man. We I don't know if we're going, maybe not tonight, but it's about that time, bro. We got 2 conversations we got to get into. We need to break down that Canelo Alvarez Berlanga card. We need to talk about Erzlandi and Danny. We need to talk about Stephen Fulton's fight. We need to talk about Rolly's fight. We need to talk about obviously Canelo and Berlanga's fight. We also need to get into this Anthony Joshua Daniel Dubois card and that fight right there is another potential fight of the year fight. Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois could be a straight shootout of mass proportions. It has a potential to be. It also can end up being boring. Anthony Joshua has the skill to slow this whole fight down and turn this into like, oh, great fight. But I think Daniel Dubois is coming in for the win. He's coming in for the blood. You know what I'm saying? Like he ain't playing no games. He's been on that run, on that rage run ever since him and Jarrell Miller kind of, got a squared away. He brought the same energy against Philip Ergovich, and a lot of people just love this new version of Daniel Dubois that popped up on the scene, right? They loving it. They're like, this dude don't take no shorts. But me and you both know that he don't need to be getting hit with the shots we've seen him getting hit with by Philip Ergovich, by no damn Anthony Joshua. People, I think, Ray, I'm gonna tell you the truth, bro. I think people at some point decided that Anthony Joshua wasn't the puncher that he is. Is it me? Or did he lose? Like people started thinking he wasn't that puncher. Like they forget, especially around that Deontay Wilder time when everybody was looking at them fighting at each other. It was kind of looked at like Anthony Joshua was like this soft punching, like going to be out punched by Deontay Wilder, and he would like people forgot that this dude had the second highest knockout ratio behind Deontay Wilder in the heavyweight division. He's one of the hardest punchers, if not the hardest puncher in the heavyweight division right now. Like, who in the heavyweight division punches harder than Anthony Joshua?
That's funny you said that, because I never thought it was his punching that was the problem. I thought it was his defense.
Okay.
As soon as I was about to answer your question, and I did pause from answering because you were still talking. 2 cents put, he has zero defense. I think he's worked on his defense. That's why he went through all the coaching and things of that nature. He worked on footwork a little bit. It seems that he's gotten a little better at it. But here's the problem: he still old habits die hard. And I think he still has a little lackluster of tucking that chin and keeping it under his offshoot hand. And I think he might get hit on the button, because the way Triple G fights is he likes to bring his head down, right? And he likes to come in and he just likes to swing at the chin. That's all he does. He just likes to swing up with his head down. He keeps his guard tight, covering that jawline. That's why you see him taking a lot of shots. When you say, like, when he's taking punches from all these other heavyweights and they look like they hurt, yeah, they hurt, but he also keeps that jaw protected. You know what I mean? He keeps those vulnerable spots protected where, you'll see him get pushed back, but you'll never see him, the uppercuts, he's susceptible to uppercuts, but you'll never see him get caught from the outside because he's always this way and he's walking through you. Right. Yes, and as he's doing that, he's waiting for you to start, get that timing down, and he's straight shot and you right in the chin, and that's right. That's what makes Dubois very dangerous. I think not his name. That's funny. But you know what I mean? But I think that's what makes him very dangerous, and I think AJ has to be very careful of that, because AJ has a lack of defense, and I think he needs to be on his toes. He needs to come in lighter. He needs to be able to move around the ring and keep this guy moving and catch him on different angles, because that's the only way he's going to get around that high guard, and he has to attack the body as he moves on those angles to make those hands drop. I agree, for sure. If he doesn't do that, it might be lights out for Anthony Joshua for the third time.
Well, no, he's never been knocked out before. You mean stopped? You mean like lose?
He never got knocked out.
He's never been knocked out. Never. He got stopped against Andy Ruiz standing up. You know what I mean? All right, that's a stop. That's a stop.
I mean, if they're calling Cordina a knockout, I gotta call that a knockout.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because I was definitely about to bring up Cordina. Like, boy, you just sat here and gave a whole explanation how Cordina didn't get knocked out.
I know. That's why I'm going with the narrative of that.
Right. So he got stopped by Andy Ruiz. The ref stopped it. He lost against Alexander Usyk twice in both of them decisions. Right? Or did he get stopped one time and he went to decision the second time? Nah, the first one was a stoppage. I don't know about that, bro. I think he lost a decision.
I got you. He might have. You might be on to something there, Claymore Rain. You might be on to something, sir. Guys like you always got jewels that you be dropping, because my mind ain't working. I'm getting old, Claymore. Things don't work.
Don't talk to me about old, bro, because my
brain don't work. My brain don't work the same.
Yeah, he got one KO, one stop, and that was Andy.
Yep.
Yeah. So this will be his fourth loss if he loses this fight.
Right.
It'll be his fourth loss. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Look, I like the work that him and Ben Davidson is doing over there. I think Ben Davidson it has him squared away more on his defense. I think all those things were kind of getting addressed. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm still picking Anthony Joshua to win this fight. Shout out to Anthony Joshua and his whole name. I've never seen his whole name before. This dude is a straight Nigerian to his core, bro. I did not know his name was like that. You know what I mean? That man got the syllables. You heard? He got the syllables. I don't even know. Anthony Oluwafemi Oloseni Joshua. Yeah, bro. That's real talk Nigerian right there. That is nothing to play with right there. That's real Nigerian right there. Texas 16 Joshua ain't stopped Ruiz. No, he ain't stop him. He beat him in a decision. Ruiz ain't never been stopped. Yeah. But yeah, you know what I mean? So at the end, matter of fact, Ruiz's only losses against two losses, right? He has two losses, one against Joseph Parker and the other one in a fight that, by the way, people think that he won. They said that decision was kind of a weird decision against Joseph Parker, and obviously the loss he took against Anthony Joshua. That's it. So
he just had that was his draw.
Yeah, that was a draw that people felt like he lost. You know what I mean? Salute Ron Frazier in the building. King was good. Did y'all talk Eddie losing the purse bid yet? We've been kind of talking on it. You know what I mean?
Cut off the conversation. Believe it or not.
Yeah. Let me put the link up there. See if you want to come up. By the way, we about to wrap it up soon. Anyway, I mean, we building, we kicking it, whatever have you. But now we're just kind of like talking about this, the miscellaneous things that's coming up. I think tomorrow night we're definitely going to be talking more specifically towards the Canelo Alvarez Edgar Berlanga card, and we're going to be talking about probably tap in on this Anthony Joshua card a little bit as well. But I also want to talk about like the 154 division on the prospect level, like Xander Zayas. I kind of want to cover him and see where he's going. He's heading into a fight that should be competitive. And then he got Shushu, who should be in title contention soon, man. He's supposed to be up there. I'm seeing him kind of coming at Ray Vargas potentially.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Ranked number 2 and number 1. So he's ranked behind Robesi in one category, and he's ranked number 1, I think, on the WBA. But he's like ranked in the top 3 and all the same.
He's ranked on that WBC. He's up there in that WBC.
I think he's number 1. I'm actually going to look right now. Yeah, he is right here. So yeah, he's number 2 WBC, number 1 WBA. IBF, he is number 10 still. They didn't even update him. And he's number 2 in the WBO. So
yeah,
he's moved up.
It's about that time for him, man. I see him making a run at the Ray Vargas situation. I think that's food for him. I think Ray Vargas is food.
Angelo Leo's that food. I think that's where he needs to go.
Angelino just won the WBO?
Yeah, and they fought. I think they fought in the same week or the same like a week away from each other, right? That's right. They were the same card. He moves up. He takes that fight there. And the reason why I say he's food is because he just came up from another division. The kid looked like he was having a battle, right? Mm-hmm. He just moved up, so that might be a good test for him to get a belt. I mean, a real quick shot. Move up there.
I think he wins both those fights pretty easily, but I agree with you. I think Angelo is the easier fight out of the two. I think because Ray's tall. You know what I'm saying? Long arms. Ray, his last fight he had against Nick Ball, kind of, he looked, I mean, a lot of people thought he lost that fight against Nick Ball. But Nick Ball just provides, weird looks. He's real short. You know how them real short fighters can get. And Nick Ball Nick Ball's one of my guys at 126. I'm a big fan of Nick Ball 120. I like him. When he fights, I want to see him fight. You know what I mean? I like to see him fight. But he's complicated because he's short. He knows how to cut that space well. He knows how to stay low. It's hard to reach him, and he kind of like baits you into, like, you walk into his shots, because you kind of have to, especially somebody like Ray Vargas, who's tall, has to fight short in order to be effective against Nick Ball, and that gets you in trouble real quick with a fighter like that. I think outside of that fight with Nick Ball, he's still one of the best champions probably at 126. Right? I mean, because you got Nick Ball, you got him, you got Angelo, and then who's the
you got Espinoza.
And then Espinoza, right? Now Espinoza, Ray Vargas would be a crazy fight for unification. That'd be a good fight.
That might happen.
That'd be a good fight, but I think Robesi's in that conversation. He's
in both conversations. He can pick and choose. The problem is you got Brandon Figueroa sitting there at the interim title at the WBC. So hold on. What does Espinoza have? The WBC title? No. Ray Vargas has the
WBO.
Vargas has WBC.
Right. Robesi's gonna run it. Robesi's gonna run it with Espinoza. That's the fight. Everybody want to see that fight again, bro. That's the fight.
Right. That was a fight he lost, ain't it?
Yeah, that's a fight he lost, and it was like fight of the year. You know what I'm saying? It was fight of the year, a potential like fight of the year fight. So that's a fight. So, matter of fact, now that that's been said, that Robesi would be the one fighting Espinoza, I think it's even more clearer right now, a clearer path for Shushu to go ahead and fight Angelo in that WBO, to go ahead and get himself. It's time for him to get a title, man. The boys,
IBF. Angelo has IBF.
Oh, then the IBF. No, so who's the WBO? Espinoza. No, that's Espinoza. Right. And then Vargas is the WBC champion. Right. So hold on. Wait a second. So it would be Ray Vargas. It would be the WBC title that Shushu should be running for. He should be heading in that direction.
I think Brandon Figueroa is going to stay there, bro. I think he's going to get that shot first. I think he's been dancing around that corner, so he's the interim champion now. Only thing he can do is if he gets that interim. I mean, he beats him, the interim comes down. So it would be Robeisy Ramirez will get that shot or get that title.
No, Robeisy got to get Espinoza. That's where he's at. I promise you that. I'm telling you.
He definitely wants that fight again. We know that. And
Yeah.
there's two ways he's going to get it: getting in the way by getting one of these other titles.
I think he's earned it already in his last fight that he just fought. I'm pretty sure
the word he earned it. Of course, he earned it.
Like, I think that's his next fight. I'm telling you, I think his next fight is going to be against him.
Here's the question: why did I make the fight immediately when he lost? When there was a rematch, it should have been a rematch clause or anything. They're in the same division. They could have made that fight happen again. They seen what it was. It would have just got bigger. Now everybody still wants to see the fight. So why would that fight even wait? I don't even know if Bob wants that fight to happen right now. I think he wants.
He wants it. Everybody want to see that fight.
I think he wants 2 belts on the line. I think he wants Robeisy to get another title, and he wants him to fight for the title. And I think he wants Brandon, because Brandon's over there too. You know what I mean? So there's so many, bro. There's so many fights going on in top rank right now that can happen at these lower weight classes. Crazy. Actually, no, Brandon's.
I'm gonna tell you straight up, Shushu. I'm gonna tell you like this: Shushu need to hurry up and find some jewelry, because if Inoue's coming up next year to 126, he ain't going to be in no conversation without no jewelry. With no jewelry, no Inoue. So however he decides to go by it, early next year needs to be, or the end of this year, Shushu Carrington should be in some title contention somewhere or another, bro. You know what I mean? He's 27 years old too, bro. He's an older prospect. He started his career a little late as far as his professional career is concerned. His amateur background is extensive. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes him who he is. He kind of comes in there with that same weight as like a Keyshawn Davis or, you know what I mean? Like, or Andy Cruz, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of like.
Actually, Texas 16 made a good comparison with Shushu and Keyshawn. He thinks Shushu's a better inside fighter than Keyshawn, which I think so.
Shushu's an official.
Really good boxer, but then comes a question. Shakur kind of said, and I hate saying it because it was a call out, but it made sense. He's 27, 28 years old, still fighting at this weight.
Yeah.
And how is he going to keep doing that? We're talking about boots, right? Not moving up. So he's got it. That's why I thought you were going. He's going to have to grab something quick to start moving up throughout the rankings, because right now he's at this division where he's struggling to make weight, bro. You can see it.
Listen, that's why I brought him up. It's barbecue mildew time for that man. It's time for him to start doing something. Shushu needs to get in some title contention, or he needs to go up to 130 and compete at 130 and get into those conversations. He's been chilling for a little too long, bro. And he's not long, because he's only like 12-0, right? Like 12 or 13-0, something like that. So he doesn't have that extensive professional career. But at the end of the day, his age, time's not on his side. You know what I mean? If he's going to make something happen at 126, and the only reason I'm putting the pressure on him is just to say that the conversation's been there. Inoue came to see him fight when Inoue came and got his little award in New York, but came to see Shushu fight. They did the little bow to each other. Shushu's not been like keeping it a secret that he really wants to fight Inoue. So I think he's going to hang out at 126. And the last time, I'm not going to say me and Shu should be talking like that, but I did build with him on Mill City's channel. He said that he has no problem making 126. He's very comfortable there, and he was very interested in fighting Inoue. And also, he said he brought up the Robeisy Ramirez, and he brought up those names. So I know he's interested in making those fights happen. But like you said, what Shakur said holds weight. You know what I mean? How long are you going to sit there at 126, bro?
Right.
You was older than Shakur, or older. You're older than Shakur, I think. Right? Or is he
the same age?
The same age. All right. So,
but yeah, no, he's like, you were there when I was there. You know what I mean? Like, so that says a lot. You know what I mean? That says a lot. Now, like you said, congratulations if you can make the weight. But we already know no one's going to reveal that they can't make weight or they're struggling.
Yeah,
exactly. They're never going to reveal that. So I see him probably trying to grab a belt quickly, maybe making one of these fights try to get that fight with Inoue if he can, or moving up to 130. 130 looks like that's where it's at for him. And I can literally see him slipping in the back door at 135, pause, and getting in there and making some runs for some titles there, or just contention. You know what I mean? At 135, it's so pickled right now. It's going to be tied up at the championship level probably for the next year or two. So because of that, you're going to have a lot of contention going on in the contender slots, especially with Abdullah Mason moving up. That's another guy I think that needs to take a chance on going to 140 because I think he's going to be waiting his time for too long down there, and he's going to be another one who's coming in at 136, 137 on his weights. Catch fights or not, he's still coming in a little heavy. So that's showing like, he's going to be sitting there waiting for a title at 135. That's another one that's crazy. So I think Shushu needs to make up his mind, try to get into contention quick. Tell Bob, call Al, call Turkey, Al Sheik, whoever you got to get in contact with, make these fights happen. Get yourself a title shot quickly.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. So we'll see what Shushu does. He's supposed to be out there. When are they fighting? What I think it's gonna be like, when are they fighting? I think it's gonna be
November 19th or something like that, ain't it?
Something like that. Oh, maybe in September? No.
Who's this?
No, it's next month.
Who's fighting next month?
When is the Xander Zayas and the card?
Oh yeah, that's coming up. I think that's coming up this month. That's coming up.
Right.
That's going to be the 27th, the week after Dubois and Joshua. Sorry, that's the 27th.
Exactly. That's when it's coming up. End of this month.
Write that down.
Oh yeah, we definitely covering that. You know what I'm saying? And then, I mean, look, these next two fights this month is going to be a good month for boxing. We've already had the Inoue Doheny just happened this morning. That was a good fight. We had Diego Pacheco and Sulecki Saturday. On the 14th, we got Canelo versus Berlanga, and then on the following week, we got Joshua and Dubois. The following week, and the following week after that, we got this card coming up with Xander Zayas on there and
Shushu.
You
know the whole card.
And then we go into October. We get it popping in October, but then in November it's going to get juicy because we got Keyshawn popping off against Gustavo, and then we got supposedly we're supposed to have Tank. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know who he's supposed to be fighting at this point. Listen, Tank's situation is kind of also an interesting situation because it don't sound like that Rayo Venezuela fight's going to be the fight, bro. Robert Garcia it doesn't seem like he's really on board with that shit.
I've been saying that for a minute. First of all, Rayo's his first tweet like 2 weeks ago was saying, "I'm not ready to fight right now. If you want to make the fight, we can make it in January." He clearly told him February, sometime early next year. He doesn't want to fight right now. You know what I mean? Some people want to take their breaks and take their time off. Let that dude live a little bit. You know what I mean? Maybe out there having a few shots of tequila, whatever he's doing. And he
making babies and shit.
Yeah, making babies, bro. Let that dude live a little bit. You know what I mean? So if that's what he wants. I mean, I'm pretty sure the money. Pretty sure the money can talk. You know what I mean? That's nothing. You know what I mean? Obviously,
that was on a turkey card. I'm sure he got a decent little bag. I'm sure he walked away all right.
But he went and bought himself 2 Ferraris. So at the end of the day, he good. You know what I mean? So let him live, bro. Like, let him live. And that's
yeah.
I don't like to bring it up. You know what I was going to say? I'm not going to say it.
Don't do it, bro. Don't do it.
So not to do it. I'm going to say
it. Do it. Don't fucking do it.
I'm not going to do it. Why the hell do they want to see him fight now?
Nah, man. It is what it is, man. It is what it is, bro. Right. But it's going to be interesting with Tank, man. We're going to have to start talking about it soon. I know, great content. You know what I mean? We're gonna try to make some content off Tank, but it's about that time to start talking about Tank. You know what I'm saying? Just as far as who's he going to fight. I mean, is it far-fetched that Tank just doesn't fight in November, that he pushes it out to the end of the year?
They don't want to fight Chris Colbert, bro. That's the only guy available.
Listen, bro. I mean, for real, Shakur's obviously tied up. Like Kenny said, he's in protective custody at Matchroom.
Everybody's tied up, buddy.
You know what I mean?
Everybody's tied up.
No fights can't be made with Eddie Hearn involved in it. So, Shakur's not there. Rayo is not there. Isak just coming off a loss. He's not going to work it out with Isak. I've heard a rumor about
anybody 140. I don't want to hear no 140 fighters. And matter of fact, I'm glad you said that. I just heard Silverback today. The other grade 8, Leonard Ellaby on the channel, talking. I think it was Fight Hype. He did an interview. He's like, "Oh, well, Rob fight. Oh, Rob fight would be great." He said, "So you going to 145?" Yeah, we'll do that. Blah blah blah. I'm like, hold on, what? You just said you wasn't going. Tank was too small for 140 less than 6 months ago, 7 months ago. Where from? Yo, y'all be playing, and it's starting to make me question some of the things over there what they be talking about, and that's why I said they got to stop speaking for Tank, because Tank told them, "Stop speaking for me, bro. Stop, y'all stop that bullshit." And that's what it comes down to, because I don't think Tank is scared to go to 140, 147, or go down to 130, bro. He's capable, but them speaking for him is crazy, especially when it's fights you don't want to make. Just say, "Yo, we don't want that fight to happen." That's it. Right. We don't like this dude. We ain't friends. I don't want to give you no money. I don't want to break bread with you, bro. Move on. Right. That's it. That sounds better than saying we not going 140 for this guy, but we're willing to go for 140 to fight for a belt for this guy because it was the same opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. You just, and that's why people say duck. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to say that. But that's why people will say it. But I am going to say it if they go fight at 140, because I'm like, yo, Leonard Ellaby said all this, and I'm putting everything on Leonard Ellaby. Yeah, Leonard liability. State Farm is there. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. I ain't, bro. I can't believe it. But yeah, go ahead, Clay. My bad. He better not go to 140.
Good, bro. We building. You know what I'm saying? Look, yeah, man. I mean, I'm hearing rumors of Manny Pacquiao. I don't understand how in the hell he got involved in the conversation. What's Manny doing down there at 140?
Manny can't even beat boxers right now. What is he coming back to? Man, come on, man.
Yeah, Manny's not there. So I mean, but you know things are getting desperate. And
Chris Colbert, you better make the fight. Call him. You know what I mean? Prime time waiting.
You know things get kind of messed up and things are getting real crazy when you start hearing things like that. Manny Pacquiao, oh, you guys are getting desperate. You guys are just trying to say anything now.
Right. You know, let me tell you what's really going on, Clay. You really want to know? And I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell all the people out there in chat land. Listen, the problem with Tank finding a fighter is a lot of these people are tied up, and the people that are available are coming off of losses because of all the bull crap that Shakur just took with him coming off a loss, fighting this dude off a loss. Tank doesn't want to have that on his resume. He doesn't want to hear the same chitter chatter that Shakur got. Even though I heard people say, "Well, Tank can fight whoever he wants." So at the end of the day, no, you cannot, because at the end of the day, Tank doesn't like to hear the same thing going for other people to go for him. He knows what it's going to do. He knows it's bad publicity. He knows that the fans are not going to like it, and he's not going to let that happen. So I think that's the reason why you don't see him fighting anybody. He's not going to fight Edwin, right? And if he does fight Edwin, that's going to be a forced fight from Al Heyman, and it's going to be because he has to. So I think he's going to make the move to either pay Loma to fight, or move the Loma fight early next year, or he's going to have to fight Bernachet, and that's the only options he has. Chris Colbert is.
And hold on, I heard that Bob is saving Bernachet for
Maratala.
Or Maratala, either one of them.
Maratala. That's going to be the fight that he's going to have coming up next. But so you figure you got so you got Chris Colbert, De Los Santos. You know what I mean? I think I mentioned somebody else the other day that's in that division that he could fight. You don't want to keep bringing people from 140 down because they're going to tell you, oh, he's fighting people that's weight training. You don't want to pull nobody up for 130 because you're going to say, again, you just had this whole thing happen with Shakur saying he pulled somebody up, even though that guy stated he was going to move up on his own, and he was ranked number 13 over Kambosos. Oh, Kambosos don't have a fight. There you go, Tank.
Yeah, because it looks like Tevin Farmer is going to be the fight for Zepeda, right? It's going to be Tevin Farmer.
Right, Kambosos.
So Kambosos is freed up. Maybe he'll go, but Kambosos just come off a loss. He just got pieced up and knocked out by.
Point, Clay. There's nobody there but people coming off of losses, so it's going to be hard for him to make that fight. He don't want to get put in that category. I respect Tank for that. You know what I mean? Him himself. They just listen. He tied up a card. He tied up a date. They got to make something happen, and they ain't announced nothing yet. So,
and we also got to remember that Tank has
Hoodridge laughing at me.
He laughing. That Tank has fights. He's not here to just make any fights. His fights are significant now. He has a big deal supposedly with Amazon, right? 240 or $200+ million.
It's all right. He knows Chris Colbert. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put CC in the chat so he knows.
Is it Chris Colbert? Are you gonna drive? I'm not gonna even ask you, Hood Rich, because we be getting you in trouble.
I know. Yeah, don't answer that. I'm just messing around.
Yeah. Hood Rich come up on here, we ask him all the damn questions, and he be answering them, and then he got to get hell in the morning.
Exclusive.
He said,
I feel you, Ray. Look,
yeah,
bro.
You got to make a decision, man. Who's it gonna be? But Cobra just got his last fight. He got rolled up like an egg roll and got laid down and rest in the manger. He got put down in the manger, rest. You know what I'm saying? Against Rayo. Rayo said he's not available. Isak just came off a loss from Rayo. You know what I'm saying? Kambosos has got pieced up by Lomachenko. Shakur is in protective custody. The options are, you know what I mean? Baranchek is supposed to be tied up. It ain't no Cobra. I know, Hood Rich, I've done told this dude ain't gonna be no damn Cobra. He keep on beating that dead horse. I mean, but do you have? I'm not gonna ask you who you think is gonna be, but who could it be?
You got Mark Chamberlain's tied up, right? Only person you got right now is you got a couple.
It be something dumb like Floyd Schofield or something or something.
It better not be. Especially with his dad talking, and y'all froze Devin out because his dad talked. Y'all definitely better freeze that dude out. He talking reckless to everybody in the world.
Okay, there it is. Hood Rich says, "Don't be shocked if Loma don't still happen." I feel you on that.
Yeah, I know. Right. It's that bag going.
Yeah. I think it could be Loma. I ain't gonna lie. I think Loma is potentially that. Oh, he froze up again. Look at him. He froze up again. That damn. But yeah, I don't know, man. I ain't gonna lie. We this close to closing it up, though. It's been a long night, short night, but long night. We've been kind of building. Got to save some stuff for tomorrow. You know what I mean? For tomorrow's show, for sure. Let me see here. Yeah, man. I think I'm about to play the outro music. Is there anything that I missed, guys, tonight that I should be building on that I ain't built on, man? Yeah, Ray said LOL. He over there getting played. He's in there fucking with him. I think I'm going to outro it at this point, guys. It's been a decent night. You know what I mean? I appreciate you guys showing up tonight, man. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. Shout out to everybody who hooked us up in the super chats. Andrew Charles, 2 cents boxing, Mr. Big Blade Bray, 2 cents with the membership. There's somebody out there. Appreciate you guys, man. Salute Texas 16. Salute Hood Rich. Salute Nick J. Thank you for showing out, Nick J. Let me see who else in the building. Y'all know who y'all. Rick Timms. Salute to Rick Timms. Salute to all the family in the building. Salute to Ron Frazier in the building. Yeah, no doubt, man. Tap in tomorrow night. We'll be available. You know we're going to be the same here, same bat channel. One. Hey, hold on. Ray's back. Maybe he might want to say something, you guys.
I just want to say peace. Yeah, I just want to say peace. Thank you. You know what I mean? Thank you, everybody, for being there. And I just had to say peace because I got done dirty. So, you know what I mean? Salute on everybody. You know what I mean? Peace. Thank you for having showing up. Thank you.
Peace.
Second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, that's why I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. When you elevate, the second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, that's why I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate.